under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Fiscal year 26 to 27. It's like we just. Okay, Danielle, we want to start with good some of your order of your agenda, or
I would love to do it in order. If you guys are good with that. Yep.
some general funds.
You want me to start?
Yes,
Maybe
ma'am.
you can lead here, okay,
Yep.
just making sure. All right, I was kind of not prepared because I was scrambling to get some stuff ready for you guys.
That would be because I connected with her just later than I.
So I guess before we get into general fund too terribly much, I would like to, if you guys are okay with it, just go over some high level things. So I did send you guys the budget. And I've made a couple minor changes since you have the printed copies as well. But we'll talk about that kind of as we go through it. I am proposing throughout the budget a 3% increase for the employees, with the exception of the police department, who has their union contract. So it's 4% for those employees, for the agreement. And then the reason I'm recommending that, and I think I shared that with you guys, cost of living is projected at 2.8%. So I'm keeping it at 3% just to keep it in line with that. 3% is a little easier to calculate for budget. I also think it's higher than 2.8, but that's what everybody's saying. So I'm following that. So just keep that in mind when we're going through the budget, because that's going to impact every single fund. We're going to talk about general fund today, and I really will answer any questions you guys have about any of the budget as always. But what I would like to do is focus on capital. I've not made any major recommendations for capital projects with general fund. As we progress through the budget, you'll see that I have made some recommendations in other funds just to help streamline things a little bit, and because I talked to the staff to ask me what their priority projects are, if they can all be funded. General fund, it's really hard for me to do that because a lot of it is needed. So it's just, what are your guys' priorities? So I didn't want to go through that without having a discussion with you guys. But some of the changes that you will see in general fund, I did adjust council a little bit. There's an increase there, and that's because you'll see a decrease in some of the other funds such as water and sewer, and some of the minor funds. I am trying to balance everything out is really the reason for that change. As we progress through the budget, you'll see some funds are strained a little bit more than others. There is an increase in treasurer, and you'll see this across the board within the funds as well. And that's because Brandon was an individual for health insurance benefits. We now have somebody who is not that, an individual, so that cost has increased a little bit there. That's really the reason you're seeing the change there. Village Hall grounds, we're gonna talk about this a little bit. I had proposed to reduce the allocation to the streets budget. When we get into the capital, we'll talk more about that. Because I was hoping we were going to be successful with the river erosion grant. And then I also just wanted to highlight a couple things. So I highlighted the festival. It's technically not a capital improvement, but I just want to make sure that you guys are on the budget for that. I also highlighted municipal improvement because we did budget for wages to come out of that for the Memorial Day parade. I just want to make sure that we are aware and comfortable with that, because if we are, under our new special use permit, it won't come to you guys for approval. We'll approve it internally. We'll share it with you guys as we have been, but it won't come for reallocation because we're going to do it within the budget, or not. If you don't do it in the budget, then they're going to have to come request money. You will see a decrease in the planning commission because of our MISHDA ordinance grant that was funded as an expenditure and a revenue. So it's a pretty large decrease because that, well, it was 2 years span, but that was a $50,000 project. And then the Parks and Recreation transfer, just as a refresher, last year we moved the pool from general fund to Parks and Recreation. So that transfer, our hope was it would be more clear kind of what we're supplementing Parks and Recreation for the pool and things like that. So that's what that transfer is for. And then I already talked about the festival. We'll talk about the other budgets as we go through, but I just wanted to make sure you guys knew some of the changes in general fund. When you guys were reviewing, did you have any specific questions or concerns about the general fund? I don't typically get to, and I plan on presenting this the same way unless you guys want to change, too in the weed on every single line. For the most part, our operating, we don't propose a lot of changes. Our staff does a phenomenal job of working within their budget. And although we are seeing inflation and increases, we work really hard to kind of keep that consistent. So outside of the things I just talked about, it's pretty consistent with what you guys have seen in the past. But if there's something before we jump into capital and focusing on that, if you guys want to talk about it, then I'd love to do that. Otherwise, I would like to jump into capital and what we have available to spend and what our priority projects are, if you guys are good with that.
I do have a question, comment.
Yeah.
And I know, and I've said some of these things to you, so just to bring everybody else up to speed, I don't know if I've talked with some of you individually. We basically approved every purchase 3 times. The first time is here when we're passing the budget. Just for example, we'll take the most recent thing that I can recall is this spectral photometer box or whatever. If she had asked, did she ask for that in the budget from last year or this year? Okay. So at that time, my proposal would be that if that's what she's asking for, that we do the deep dive now before we approve the budget. Rather than waiting till she's ready to purchase the item, because then, like she did, so she came and said, this is what I'd like to purchase. So that now be the second time that we've approved it because we voted and said yes. Then the third time that we'll approve it is when she gets it and the invoice comes in. And then when we approve appropriations, we've now approved that 3 times. And my question or comment is, if we do the deep dive on it for the first go around, then we don't have to spend as much time deep diving on 2 and 3. 3 is almost irrelevant because we've already approved the purchase. The thing is that she is the expert, and we are assuming that she has come to us and said, I want this box for various reasons rather than whatever other 5 models are out there that she could have purchased. She gave her reasoning. This would be the time we would push on that. Why do you want this? What's going on? Can you explain that to us? And the other thing is, she has already expressed those needs to Danielle. Then it's brought to us. So we've had all of our eyes looking at it. If we were to, like we did, we approved it. Then when we get to the point where she wants to actually purchase it, then to me, our question would be, are there any changes from when we first approved this within the budget process? And if she says no, then we just keep moving along because we don't know what it really is that she needs, no matter how many spec sheets we look at.
Right.
If she says, yeah, it's different. Okay. Why? Now, is it still within budget? Well, yes. Okay. Then bingo, you got it. We approved the budgeted amount. She said that she wanted A didn't come through. B, she thought was better, but still within budget. That's fine. But if she says, well, I would like B, but it's going to cost more. Okay. Now we can drill down and say why. Why do you want us? Why? Because now she has to come to us for the approval. So what I'm thinking of is how it's just kind of streamlining this process. Because to me, if we continue looking at it as if we've seen it for the very first time and creating redundancy, which We always are talking about how long the meetings are, it could be long. And also, I think it moves us into the realm of micromanaging. Because we're not experts on it. So our primary function, as I see it, is to make sure that they have the equipment that they need
Within the budget.
within the budget of which we approve. And why do they need it? If we're going to look at every single time this comes across our desk as if it's the first time we've seen it, now we're moving into a realm that isn't ours, in my opinion. Again, it creates
No, it's not ours, when it's government runs that way.
Then we change
everywhere
it.
else.
And we look to change it, like just because it's done everywhere else. Doesn't mean that we have to do it that way.
And that's something you discussed with Danielle, and Danielle said.
Minor. I'm not sat down and said, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But pretty much like what you just shared with us.
Yeah.
I totally understand the philosophy and keep the thing moving along and efficiency with government bureaucracy, you know, and that's the way it works. If you don't want to hold that position, then maybe, you know, I mean, you should look for a different position on House there or work for the village or planning commission like that. But that's just the way that government funding and budgeting work. I get that you want to be efficient about it, but now is not the time. We've got this budget. We're not going to have any information. We may do it next year if you want to look at it that way. But my mentality is we're not going to have any of that information today to make that decision.
We already know them. For the most part, don't we know some of these things?
We know some of them, but we don't know the specifics because there may be something that comes up. For instance, a piece of equipment, there may be a better piece of equipment that's available at another date, you know, 6, 8, 10 months down the road.
Sure.
So when we look at that, she may recommend the better piece of equipment for another $1,500. And there's already a line in there that says financial impact on every motion that we do.
Correct.
So right in there, I'll just give you for instance, the last one we had with those filters, it says the purchase of the DR6000 will be from whatever code, capital projects line item, the budget amount was $20,000. And there'll be a savings of $6,712. So you have the financial right there in front of you when we're going through this. Our job as council is to make sure that we review the agenda before we come to the meeting. So if we have any, and most of, I think that gets done. I'm not saying it doesn't. We come in here and we pretty much have all that already figured out in our mind, or at least we should. And then if there's any questions that come up, occasionally there are, is there, you know, a cheaper option or is there something better? Usually when it's more money, that those questions come up even more so now.
Or big picture, big item, you know, big number of purchases, you know, one, like, I think we're talking about the dump truck or whatever. It was not that long ago. Big piece of equipment for the depot, and we literally didn't have a lot of information in front of us, right? And I remember we were both kind of talking about having a little bit of concerns on really knowing the details of what we tried to spend money on, why do we need it? You know, I maybe let's take up whatever it was, but you wanted more information.
It wasn't.
So again, I personally like to see this stuff as it comes. It's just a checks and balances. We're not here to micromanage it by any means, but that's our job, is to say, we can afford this, we should do this right, but this is the best way to go about it. I get the efficiency thing, it's part of the process.
Well, I understand that because things will come up and we won't know if we have the money until we get to that point to purchase the item. But when it comes into the specifics of the item, one, we're not the ones that use the equipment. We're not the ones that use the equipment or where to go and find the equipment. So I think we also need to be able to rely and trust the experts and people that are considered down the line who make these recommendations to us, because we don't know what we're comparing. And it's part of their responsibility to make sure that what they are presenting to us to purchase is what they need. So that's
coming across me as a hands-on approach, and that to me is a little bit scary. Again, I certainly don't want to micromanage. I think we all work well with our staff and with, you know, being on the department heads, but again, there's checks and balances and the government and earning the trust of, you know, being good stewards of people's money and the taxpayers' money. I think it makes sense just to have that oversight personally.
Well, I don't think that we're giving up oversight, not at all. What I've been asking us to let go of in my 2 years here on council is that we get bogged down in details that do not pertain to us, that pertains to them. And if they are within a budgeted amount that we have approved, unless there's something that drastically fluctuates outside, that it may go over the limit, then yeah, we definitely got to do something. Or if we have another emergency and we can't spend the money, then we need to say, sorry, we can't spend the money at that.
There's a lot of things that they purchase, so that are just within, where we don't have to ask the question. It's just the day-to-day operations. They're spending money. We don't have to think that stuff. So, I mean, I can meet you in the middle, say, anything over 10,000, over 5,000, but we don't already nitpick a lot of the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm not looking for.
Our meetings are actually much more efficient. I think the rest of the council members would agree that, we sit here for 3 hours, quite a few years. I honestly think we're running pretty efficient. I don't see the reason to fix what's not broken.
But I have a question, because I'm trying to understand what you're saying, you know, my thing. And I understand both of it, but I'm just confused that you think we should bring it in a little, so we don't have that third process, because we've already really approved it twice, and the third time is when she's actually coming saying, okay, I'm ready to purchase.
No, that's the second time. The third time is when we're when we're appropriating, we approve the amount payable.
Okay,
That's the third.
okay, gotcha.
That's the third.
So I see what you're saying, that we've already proved it that second time. So she's gonna get it, right?
Second time is for her to basically go and say, we say, go ahead and get it. That's the second time. The first time is here within the budget.
Okay, so am I hearing your concern would be between that second, third time, what if something happens elsewhere in the person
Between the first and second.
okay, where we wouldn't have money for her to say, yeah, we can do it now, or we have to wait,
Yep.
we have to find money somewhere else.
We adopted budget in September, it begins in October, so that's our
Okay.
first. And then whenever they purchase it throughout the year, that's where we see the details.
Okay,
And literally, if we go to a consent agenda, if nobody has any questions on the bills anyway, it's literally, we're taking 2 minutes of our time approving the bill.
all right.
I think I'm tracking that you're bringing it up as we're talking about.
Right, as long as we're talking about it now,
Yeah.
we're beginning a new budget, right, we're talking about the new budget for the 26-27 year. Not for what we're getting to that point.
I think we can go ahead and do our budget like we do, and then we can have that discussion for that second part, like you're talking about. I hear where you're coming from as well, but go with this, get the numbers, and then let's revisit perhaps what you're saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. No, I even if nothing has changed, I think that we need to present it. The thing is, it leaves us. It just leaves us with the potential. I think of. I want this. I don't want. We want this. We don't want that. Or when we've already approved it, and to have a hands-off approach. Yes, I think that's a potential, because the extreme of that, the negative extreme of what I'm suggesting is we have 15-minute meetings and we just keep, and that's not where I want us to go with that. That's not the point. I do wonder if we couldn't and I know that this was kind of, we gave it a little bit of the other last meeting, but we basically have 3 meetings a month. And communities our size usually only have 1, and communities much larger than us also have a meeting a month. But we have 3, and I'm just thinking, okay, what can we do to still maintain our function and to do it well at the same time without being so much of an oversight committee that
That is our job, so.
I know. But Mike, we approved the purchase of picnic tables. And then we had like a 15-minute discussion on whether they should be 6 foot or 8 foot. That didn't matter. It's what the people below us are below us. I don't, what I mean is below us in the process, because we
We also have three lights that are waiting in the fire and have them put up.
We do. And we also have a lot of other things that we're looking to purchase, in addition to big picture items that we're not free to discuss at this point. And yet we're also looking at,
And I certainly don't want to back away from that. Again, I'm not gonna, if we're doing large scale things, I want to be involved. I want all of us involved.
totally.
That's part of the planning, part of the vision, part of the budgeting. It's all part of,
But we're also not the village administrator. We're also not the heads of departments for all of these various departments. We're not, we need to question that these, all of these people and why it is they think that they need what they said that they need. At the beginning of it, not all the way through it, and throughout the calendar year, when it's time to come. I see that we want to spend, when we have budgeted $6,000 or $9,000 for chiefs for new weapons. Whatever weapon he suggests, he recommends, is probably what we're going to go with. If I want to sit here and argue with him on the validity of what he chooses to my desires, that have you considered this, have you considered this, what about this weapon, what about this one? To me, that I would be wasting council's time and I'd be wasting chief's time. Chief knows what he wants. This is, it's within budget. Here we go. So I think I'm here to provide oversight that numbers are being kept and what we have said we are going to keep them. And that's how I kind of look at it. And I mean, if we continue this process, just because we've always done it this way, doesn't mean that it is the best way to do it. I recognize government takes time, and that is part of government's process, is that things are moving slower than what would happen in the business world. And I understand that. And if it doesn't change, then it doesn't change. But I'm certainly not going to just go to a different function of our government because I don't think that this here moves fast enough, which I could also throw back and say, if this requires a lot of personal attention to details, that's getting to the point of where it's being overbearing, then maybe other people need to find a different position within the government. So, I mean, I'm all for what we're doing, and I want to do the best job that we can. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying that anybody is. That's not it at all. I've been on a lot of boards. This is a good council. We work well together. We have good back and forth. We have good staff that brings us good information. So I think we just need. I'm just looking at, okay, now that we're at this point, how do we maintain this and even improve it? I certainly don't want to go backwards. I don't know. But how do we progress and move forward and still do a good job and appreciation so that we're not overstepping or creating the slowness that we don't have to create. That's all.
okay. Well, we're at 6:27. Let's try to get through. Roll.
Okay, so I do have the budget up on the screen so that as you guys give me some direction or if I input information, it'll real time update our ending budget. So before we start going through the capital, if you guys, I did number, it's a little bit goofy, I know, but I did number the pages to follow along as well. But I put at the end of general fund, so it should be on your last GF page, which I think is 13 or 14. I put what our 3-month reserve is and what our 2-month. The auditors recommend the 2 to 3 month reserve. And then to the right of that, it gives you a dollar amount that's available for capital. So if we choose to go down to a 2-month reserve, then we have $632,700 or $278 to allocate towards capital projects within our budget. If we want to stay at that higher reserve level, the 3 month, then we have $452,000.
you remind us, Danielle, what, where are we currently? Where, where do we stand here in the 2020 year?
We are projected to end the fiscal year under budget, which would actually leave us at about a 6.5 month. We budgeted, with our expenses, it would have left us at a 4-month reserve, because if you guys recall, there was a little bit of capital we didn't allocate because of some unknowns.
Yeah.
Specifically, I think the tennis court was the big
Yes.
one. But we did come in a little bit under budget. Also, we budgeted capital projects that we knew we weren't gonna spend, that we wanted to roll forward and add additional funding until we could pay for it in total. So when we budget that money, it goes towards our total expenditure, but it doesn't then get spent until we have the full.
As an administrative position, what would be your recommendations? The 3 versus the 2, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that the village is financially healthy enough and we have a significant amount of capital we've been making some really good progress that I would recommend a 2 month. Not less than a 2 month. If we can stay there or above that, that would be great. But I would feel comfortable if we were at a 2 month reserve, just given where we're at financially and still getting some of those projects done and so that we don't just keep piling it all up in the future. And I think you guys have done a really good job of allocating resources to try to get some of this done. And if, when we do our goals and when we did our goals, if you guys remember, there was a lot of things that we checked off that list. Some of them are still pending, like, for example, you guys have allocated money towards the parking lot repair at Harbor, but we don't have that fully funded. So right now you guys have 40,000. That total project is 200. So I'm hoping we can also continue adding or get to a point where I would say that the plan for how to do that.
Those in your market, those your market projects in your reserve that have really here. Or they'll pull out.
No, I have those, like I have for the Harbor, when we get to that, you'll see I have 40,000 budgeted to keep not less than what we've already had, but we're
Okay,
gonna talk about it.
research,
Yeah.
yeah.
Correct. Yes. So again, I just wanted to jump to that bottom number to show you so that when we're going through this, you kind of know what you have to work with. Again, I'll, as you say, like, this is a priority, I'll add it in and then we can come back down and look at it and say, okay, we have this much more to work with, or hey, we gotta cut X amount somewhere. Otherwise, I'm just gonna start right at the top.
So if you're at the 2 and 3 month reserve, you've got those numbers. But say this fiscal year, we come 200,000 under budget. You're gonna say we're at 832.
No, I've projected, so if you look at the budget that's in front of you guys, there's a column that says projected year end, so I've projected out the budget so that you know exactly what you have to work with, and that incorporates that.
Thank you.
Yes, I always do that so that you guys have the most accurate numbers. Obviously, I'm gonna be a little bit off because I can't get right to the penny, but I'll be pretty close, and I have been so far in the past, so yes. So the first portion of the general fund is council. I do have laptop replacement 2 in here, but I really need some guidance from you guys. So we have replaced, since I've been with the village, all of the council laptops. And we had set the goal of trying to replace them more regularly instead of all of a sudden 1 year, all 7 had to be replaced. I don't see your laptops unless you guys have an issue, and then I will sometimes help with IT stuff, and that's few and far between. So if you guys don't need these, you can move on. If only one of you, I don't know, I really need guidance from you guys at how they're looking, how they're working. What I don't want to do is get to a point where all 7,
Mine is brand new.
I think the line was brand new too.
My only complaint with mine is it doesn't hold the part. That's not a big deal.
Exactly what I'm doing. I would just keep rotating because we're minus the budget. We're
Yeah.
not trying to.
So for
purchase a
2 of
large-
them, we have 2,200. I can also just put 1,100 in for 1 too. If we, that one, I just put it in here because we wanted to keep on.
I had mine for 4 years, I think it was brand new when I first bought it.
It was, yeah.
So I mean, it's. Don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, mine, I don't think it would be the.
Sherry, how's yours?
I think mine was new, wasn't it?
I think yours is about a year or two, if I remember. I wanna say Ken and Eric,
2 years, 1.5 years.
so I think it was new to you.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
It was.
if I remember correctly, Eric and Ken have the old, because you have Mike's, right? So, yeah, I think it was Eric and Mike, so yours is the oldest too. I think you got those around the same time. I think you guys were some of the first ones. Well, actually, I think Gwen was the first one, and then yours has been replaced again, I believe, and then you two were after.
And so mine doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, because yours was just replaced. I guess it's $2,200 in the whole scheme of things. I guess I just needed some guidance if you want it this year, if you want to wait a year, or wait on your one. Or we could budget the money and not purchase unless we start to have issues. I mean, it's up to you guys.
I think the replacement, I think the gradual replacement. Staggered rotation, yeah, that makes sense.
What does that mean then? So staggered, you're saying she should put money away, or are you saying they're gonna get one?
Yeah, budget, if we need it, we need it.
They are computers, you never know. Pen might say. Anytime. Yeah, the oldest.
So we went on a 7-year rotation. Well, is that smart?
It's 7 years, I
That's a
think,
lot.
is two, yeah.
So do we want to do 2?
So IT said that we should be replacing them every 3 to 5 years, is kind of the range. So that's why I didn't do a 7, because that pushed it out. So if I did 2 a year, that's every 4 years, is kind of how I came up with 2 a year. Because then you have a 5-year with only one person.
That makes sense.
Okay. So the next part of the budget is administrator. I already actually built in the $1,100 for a desktop. But you guys can remove this. I'd love to highlight it, but we have been working on similar, instead of doing where our computers fail and we have nothing, we've been trying to get them on a cycle. So my office and the front counter computers are the last two that need to be replaced. On that rotation, we've got Maddie, the treasurer, and Lisa and Laura all have new ones. So I'm just trying to keep up from that. But again, if you guys want me to review that, I will. My other request, I say it's mine. It's really more of a village request. I wasn't entirely sure where to build this out because I have a new request concept idea for us to talk about. It's an all staff vehicle. What I would propose is that Chief currently has a vehicle that he uses. And he and I have talked about this, so feel free to ask either of us questions, but I would like to trade that in and get an all staff vehicle with lights and sirens. So the chief can still use it, if need be, he would still use it for traveling to training, different things like that, but he would also be willing to share it with some of the other staff. Who need it from time to time. The other staff or all staff don't need a vehicle on a regular occurrence, but there are times where it would be beneficial, like if they're going to a training. We currently pay mileage for those vehicles, where we could, for example, we have council members going to training in Traverse City will reimburse for mileage, and that mileage, and I'm giving this just an example, where I went to Traverse City, that's probably a better one. Mileage reimbursement was $345, where I could have taken that all staff vehicle. Or we have our wastewater treatment plant, they've expanded our sample requirements Eagle has. And we now have to drop samples off at mine to get them there within the required time frame, and we're reimbursing them every month for mileage, where they could then use this all staff vehicle to take it up instead of using it personal. So it's just something I wanted to, I guess, put out there that I felt like would still meet chief's needs, but it would also help out the other staff. We obviously this is a brand new concept, so we have to kind of work out how we schedule or work through things. But I guess that's something I'd like to talk about. I don't want anything fancy. I'm thinking just a basic, like a small SUV type vehicle. Is kind of what I was thinking. So, again, if you have questions, this is a new idea, so let me know. Hate it, love it, whatever it is.
Somebody else have, you guys go ahead with questions on it? My first one is, how does this affect the vehicle you take home? Is this the same vehicle? There's people driving it with the take home vehicle?
But I'm not gonna be driving this vehicle home on a regular basis. The vehicle we have now is pushing 170,000 miles. You know, we're at the point now, either we replace it or get ready to got some major money into it. Things like that. Well, it's reached the end of its suicide. It's 10 years old. So it's time to get rid of it. It's time to replace it. The original plan was that the next car down the line would be the Charger. Well, it's all of that worked out. So it did present a bit of a conundrum. But my thought was get any kind of vehicle we want. I just need to look at leasing. You know, it might be worth it or is it like at any rate, for very minimal cost, you can put 5 lights in it and a siren. And I'm talking to the outfitter, and we can use it for the lockout. Yeah, so the equipment isn't functioning when I'm not in. Yeah. Beyond that, so then that way the vehicle is usable by other departments, other personnel side. Yeah, we're trying to pool our resources and do things economically. Balance it. So
You're not driving it at all.
I haven't gotten for the wear and tear cars. It's doing well, but it's getting streaks. It's, you know, and their wear and tear issues, struts and going. It's been easy to work. I did get enough good on what needed repairs that needed, and we were like, we're not gonna spend money. It does kind of piecemeal to keep it rolling, but it's an old car. It's ready to go. So the Charger kind of threw us a curveball. So looking at the whole situation, how do we do this economically without blowing out the budget?
So the car that you got, that moves to the top of the list.
That's one of the newest vehicle.
So that would be a great, and the others move down. And then that's what you're driving home is something else that's.
No, I wouldn't be driving anything. The next car down was going to be a Charger, but it's gone.
Okay.
So unless generally I was taking the oldest vehicle.
Okay.
So the 16 is the oldest. The next oldest one is the SRO vehicle. Which you feel that you mentioned in it, doesn't have a lot of mileage. It's especially hard. You put some of your equipment in there. It would cost a lot of money to take all the equipment out, but it's something else. Then I gotta put it somewhere else. Well, where are we gonna put it at? You know, so still, if I got rid of the Explorer, we still gotta get rid of the vehicle if we're gonna maintain 5 vehicle fleet. You know, I don't live in a vacuum. I understand the budget. So, you know, we already bought a new patrol car. We're playing that the screwball with the Chrysler. So, you know, I can't just sit here and say, well, this is usual. We need another car. You know, somebody else, hey, I know you just gave me 70 grand for, I need another. You know,
Right, but I don't want you to, right, but still have to maintain the rule that you drive a marked car back home. Right.
well, it's unmarked, but we're just gonna do a balancing act.
So in the, like, chief, for example, will have a meeting in Lansing from time to time. So if, like, he's gonna take it, because then he can go to the meeting and come here. So it's not that he'll never take it home, it's just that he's not going to be every night, it would be shared. So if there's another need, then what we're saying is he's then willing to say, okay, this water needs the vehicle, this, and we're gonna share the.
And you could find
Agreed.
it as one of here today, the tomato.
I'm not out of car, somebody using the car, you need to go out, well.
In an ideal situation, no. But we always operate on the premise. that
First,
one
let's say
vehicle-
it's not ideal, we're not real.
But one of the vehicles is always in the shop. That's the way it works out. We're usually got one, like right now, we have one vehicle that's at the out there for a brand new car. We've been down a car for quite some time. It has been since the start of the one down. So it's been a long time. We've been short a car. We managed to test school, but we have to make sure the ducts are all pumped out and make sure that cars are running. I need to look, and we did back in 16 had an issue. The blower motor went out. For the festival. And we were to Brian Kennedy as Brian can do this back in 48 hours. Brian worked his miracles and got it done. Because I was already short a car, and being short 2 cars, especially with fireworks. We need all the lights out there we can get. So that's the main concern. When we have Blissfield Fest and the 5K run, again, that's the time when I'd like to have all 5 cars. We can put people at the different intersections. So it's really those 2 events, the fireworks and the Blissfield Fest, where I really need all 5 cars. The parades, we generally get by with 2 or 3 cars. We do okay. So we're just managing our resources, trying to be economically responsible for the village, for the taxpayers. Looking at the situation, the reality is there's no way I'm going to come back to council right now and say, hey, I want to buy another police car. We just bought one, and not through anybody's fault or our own, but that's the way it worked out. So what's the viable solution? And Danielle and I talked about it. We both agreed that this was a viable option.
What do we usually spend a year? Reimbursement, mileage reimbursement.
Business must be.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I don't know off the top of my head. But it does vary year to year, just because it depends where trainings are. Who's able to go, like I, for example, had a training this month. I didn't go because the hotel was, I didn't want the village to pay for the hotel with maintenance. And so I cut that training this year. But and they move, so sometimes the training's in Grand Rapids, sometimes it's in Traverse City, sometimes it's in Yakima. That really fluctuates too. I do know we are spending more than we have in the past, just because we are going to more trainings or we're being better about it. I don't know. And we have things like things that we weren't doing before. I could certainly get that number for you guys and tell you. I just broke up. I can't look at one line because it's broke up in all of it.
I did a little bit of math on that part and a couple of the cost benefits. I just want to say the purchase of the vehicle is of course is the amount. On top of that, we have the insurance, we have the fuel, we have the maintenance, we have the depreciation, we have the replacement. Piggybacking on the business miles that are driven each year at 70 cents per mile, at 50,000 at 70 cents per mile. Is that what it is? Okay, what's the 70 cents per mile? A $50,000 vehicle is roughly equivalent to reimbursing about 1,000 miles of business travel. And I would find it challenging for us to go 71,000 miles of business travel. I am not comfortable with this purchase. And there's the, I question I think that it would be more economical for our village to go with the business mileage versus purchasing a vehicle. That's my opinion.
Yeah, certainly can be doing that, go center.
So is this instead of replacing a car, specifically for the chief? Or is this because we needed another car?
So his vehicle is the oldest, but we do need to replace a vehicle. So that's where I think this is what Chief was trying to say. The next oldest vehicle is a Zeophus. And then it's the SRO, but he's not going to take the SRO vehicle because it's special, so then it would become the
Durango.
Durango. And then we would get a new one, so that I don't know, if you guys don't wanna do that, I'm good with that.
I have another question. So. Say we were willing to do this. What says that we can't do that with another patrol vehicle that's set here? That may be just setting and not being used, say during the day, when they need to take water testing over to Milan or whatever. Why can't a vehicle that's already setting here be taken? Does that make sense?
Can't be a marked car thing.
Yes, we are not putting employees in a marked.
So they're all marked, other than the chief's car.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Fair enough.
Just because of liability and.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Chief, we have 5 cars besides the one that you've been driving. No, that's the 5th car, correct? Right now it's the 4th car. Let's say,
We're down one, the Charger.
the Charger, is it out or is it Charger's gone, we sold it?
We sold that, so their new vehicles being upfitted. And then we will have, that will be the 5th, we'll have 5 police vehicles.
But I don't, so please correct, I don't see you asking for the purchase of another car at this time. You're just asking to take the car that is currently being used and make it available.
No.
No, okay.
If I'm asking to trade in I'm calling it the chief's vehicle to purchase a new one. That would
Oh, I see.
then be used by the chief and other staff when needed.
Okay.
And to roll back, to use some context. When I first came here, they had the 2009 Crown Vic. And it was used in that sense. It was a general use vehicle. And it was the oldest police car they had. So the only thing we've really added since then is the SRO, which vehicle. Other than that, we had 4 cars before. We got 4 cars now. Nothing technically changed as far as the vehicle. Other than the SRO.
I'll leave that, it's nothing now, we can always revisit it, I mean, I just not doing it, that's what you guys are here for, so.
I'm kind of disappointed, we have apples to oranges on what it costs mileage versus what a lease or what a purchase. That seems like that's something that should have been presented to us, like,
Well,
we're doing this like quote cost savings measure or whatever, right? And
I'm not saying it's a cost savings, I'm saying that we would purchase this instead of paying mileage. I want to be clear about that. Also, I did look into leases. I propose to pay it in full because right now municipal lease prices or percentages rates are 7%. I think that's high when we could just pay cash. So that's why I didn't propose a lease. I know that is something Chief brought up, totally viable. But that simply, and I know 7% is not a ton, but I was just trying to find a solution that would still provide Chief with the ability to have a vehicle and have that extra vehicle when needed, but still kind of help overall simply because of total budget cost.
Because, yeah, I'm gonna talk about both ends, because what if the chief needs a vehicle and say one's down in the shop, right? And you need to go respond somewhere, generally you hop in that oldest vehicle that you drive, that unmarked car, right? And you have a vehicle, a ability to respond to. You're not gonna respond in your own truck, we already know that, nor your liability or anything covered. So are you gonna be able to fulfill your job duties if we're gonna have to replace something like that, unlike.
If I don't have a village vehicle at my house, if I need it here, I will get it here when I get it here.
What if you're here working and you don't have that vehicle to respond because we have somebody on the road, right? We've got lieutenants on the road, we got a vehicle down, then what are you gonna do? What do you respond with?
90% of the time, there's a fully equipped garage.
Sometimes it's not.
And it doesn't get used by somebody else. I think we're over complicating this a little bit. You know, okay, if you guys say no, but I think this is a vehicle for the chief. And when the chief is not using it, other staff will. if chief is down a vehicle, other staff doesn't use it. I think.
I
we're just
think
going
the issue is if the chief needs, he's here, needs the vehicle, then that 10%, you just said 90%. So what happens in the 10%? I think that's Mike's concern, and that would be my concern.
Mine as well. That's why I'm just trying to figure
Yeah,
out this.
because it's not in
Other
your
vehicle,
budget to ask for a new police car.
No, and
Yes.
we're just, the timing sucks because the Charger died on us unexpectedly.
That's,
And the 16 Explorer
These are one of those
in the
emergency
service
things.
life. The reality is, we don't want to spend a
oh, I
lot
get
more
it.
money maintaining this car, so it's gotta go. The question is, do we replace it or not? And if we do replace it, how do we replace it?
Both are in the budget. You have a police vehicle and this one are both. I'm not saying we need to purchase both, but
Right.
yes, because we were, so I built the capital request off of the capital improvement plan. And we had tried to push a vehicle, police vehicle, it was supposed to be last year, so it got pushed to this year. So I don't remove those until they're funded, they get carried forward.
So it can't be, let me restate that, I should not use the word can't. In my opinion, not both. Which one? That one or this one? When I say that, the police vehicle that you're asking for, or this, maybe that's looking at it simplistic, but that's how I'm looking at it. You're saying there's two vehicles. This is this one. And there's the other request.
Yes, so if you guys want to approve a police vehicle, right, then we will get a new vehicle. His vehicle will go and then he will take over not the SRO, but the Durango.
And the staff could also use that.
Staff is not going to use a vehicle that's upfit.
So it's fully marked is what you're saying, and staff would not be able to use it.
You take the details off, right? It would be just like what we have.
I mean, I seriously, we could, put a lockout kit on that.
And take the markings out.
Because you're replacing the Charger with the vehicle we purchased this year that is being built, right? So that brings you back to speed. Now we're looking at another police vehicle and
Slash.
replacing the vehicle, the unmarked car that you drive.
That place the Durango this next year, take the Durango and make that the
Right.
general sign.
Right, because what we should do with the Durango, which is your guys' philosophy that we would sell the Durango when we replace the actual police vehicle in this budget. What was that plan?
We were just trying to, I think, try to
Trying to be.
pool our resources and maybe save a little money.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the idea. The idea was, we're gonna get another car.
Yes.
How do we do it? And I get what you're saying. So do we buy another new patrol car? Take the Durango and break it down to a general use car with no markings? Or do we keep the fleet we've got and buy a new general use vehicle for the village?
Right. And
So
that's
either way,
semantic
we
of
replace-
budget wise, right? It's either on the police budget or.
Well, and here's my thought on that.
Yeah, all they're saying is exactly what I said, except instead of us sharing the new vehicle, we share the
If I buy a
used.
new police car, if we get a new police vehicle, the upfitting expenses, I don't know if you recall, are gonna be pushing $30,000.
They're expensive.
It would be more economical to just buy a new general use vehicle, the Durango as is. Because even if I were to get another patrol car, I've got to pay the upfitting costs and take all the equipment out of Durango, and put in another car. That's an added expense. At some point, probably the next fiscal year, the Durango will probably be up. It'll be 6 years old, 7 years old at that point. So at some point we have to replace it. But if we're talking about replacing Durango this fiscal year, it's gonna be cost of the vehicle plus that probably $30,000 in upfitting costs. And I think that's what we're trying to avoid.
So are we on like a rotation of when we replace vehicles under normal circumstances?
Yes,
Like,
correct.
And that's when
get a crappy Charger again.
This one, yeah, other vehicles.
They're crappy.
You'd have to order me to get a bid on another price.
So are we on like,
We try, yeah.
how often
But we have not always followed that because it has been pushed.
We tried to squeeze another year out of the Charger because at the time, this time last year, it had 65,000 miles. It was a 19, so it was gonna be 7 years old this year. Based on mileage, and at the time, it was running pretty decent. Danielle said, "You think we can squeeze another year out of it?" Yeah, I think so. So we tried.
The Charger,
Yeah, we tried to get another year out of it. By rights, it should have been replaced this fiscal year
I'm
anyway.
surprised you got a whole year out of it. after
Yeah,
the brand
yeah.
to begin with.
So, generally speaking, I think we're doing about 5 or 6 years on a patrol car, and then it's either getting rotated out of,
So what you're saying is the Durango is we're looking to replace it in next year's budget.
probably. Yeah, it'll be, it is now the oldest.
So here's my question. Wouldn't it be economically cheaper to take the markings off that and use that for another year as a multiple use vehicle? And then get a new one in next year?
That's my point. I'm still gonna have to pay the upfitter to take the equipment out and put it in a new patrol car.
No, that's not. I'm saying use the Durango.
You want me to lose the patrol car? You only have 2 patrol.
Okay,
cars?
so that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm hearing we got 4 vehicles, I'm hearing we got 5 vehicles. How many?
We have 3 marked patrol vehicles.
Okay,
We have the take-home vehicle, and then we have the SRO vehicle,
Which is marked.
which is marked.
all right.
Right now, we're down in marked.
Okay,
That's the one being updated right now.
but that was in this year's.
Yes, so we're back to where we should be.
Right. The next patrol vehicle that would be, for lack of a better term, decommissioned is a
Would be the
Toyota Ring. That's the next up. And that'll probably be next year.
But your vehicle you're driving right now is,
It's a
It's
16.
16.
it's like kind of in the checkout lane.
But you want to purchase a police vehicle this year, which adds to a mark. Right? Because you're not telling us whether you're going to decommission the Durango or not. So we're actually up a marked vehicle for a year. Because now we're potentially buying an unmarked vehicle, personal vehicle, whatever, personal vehicle, and a replacement police car.
They're both in the budget.
Yes.
Because the capital improvement plan called for a vehicle this year. We're saying one or the other.
That's what we've been asking.
That's what I said.
In the beginning.
If you buy a patrol car, it would be an additional vehicle.
Right, so I have 50,000 to get rid of his vehicle and do a shared vehicle. I have 70,000 because of outfitting costs if we change out a police vehicle. It's not both, they're just both built in so that you guys could see.
So it's
the
either get a
price.
vehicle, multiple use vehicle, or get a new patrol vehicle that's fully marked.
Correct.
The budget's there.
Or you don't do either. Well, I mean, they're not.
Right,
It's an option.
right.
I'm just saying they're options.
Yeah.
Right, because the Durango is kind of scheduled for next year's budget. Unless something happens, but if something happens to it, we still have money that we could budget it this year or for.
Well, depends what you allocate. I don't want to say you have the right. 'cause
Well,
you
I'm
guys
just
have,
saying,
you have a lot of other capital projects, vehicles.
And this is that stuff that I sound like this is the nitty stuff, but actually we should talk about this because question, are you gonna replace it with a Durango? Because we can use a lot of that equipment in that Durango to go into Durango. It's not 30,000 miles worth of brand new stuff, right?
They changed. Every time we try to take old equipment, put in a new car, the specs are off just enough that we can't conceal.
But you see, my point is, and Sherry's point is, if we decommission the Durango, that becomes a stamp vehicle and you can purchase the new one that with all of the equipment that you need, right? That's the ultimate,
yes,
more economically
Yes.
feasible.
yes, I think that is what I was trying to say, yes.
They want to purchase a new vehicle, get rid of your car and then, yeah, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, I think that's,
There's some numbers, not all numbers.
Yes.
if the numbers work.
But also, motor vehicle fund wise, that's always a struggling fund, right? So does police always come out of that or no?
We pulled police out of motor vehicle and we said, we're gonna try it this way because we've struggled with that. And so police has been, and we did that this year when we pulled the new vehicle out of general fund and we left their fuel and cost in motor vehicle this year with the intent to the current fiscal year to pull it out this next year. So that's what we did. So then motor vehicle will be DPW and they will be general fund.
So your administrator quote budget, that would be kind of next, and it's more, we're charging it more to the police department, which would be budget wise properly in the broke down car, the broke down Durango. I'd say broken up, but you know what I mean, decommissioned Durango would be more of the administrator costs in this budget. Because that would be everybody else.
And I wasn't sure where to put it and I wanted you guys to see that it was two different. So yeah, yes, it would be police. I had it there so that it was clearly identified that it wasn't two police vehicles.
Which is what you stated at the very beginning, that's why you weren't sure to put it here.
I'm gonna leave it 0 in administrator. I think we'll get back to this at PD. I think I understand what some of council is saying. So that being said, administrative assistant, clerk and treasurer have no capital. Village Hall grounds is the next fund that has capital. I highlighted those. We do have a request from the police department to add a key fob to the PD armory. I did get a cost for that. We have an additional slot, but there is some rewiring, so that's $2,000 request. Again, I did already build in that 1,100 for the front desktop counter computer replacement. If you guys don't want to approve mine and that one, I think that one's more critical. $1,100. And then our requests are to seal coat the North Main Street parking lot, the newspaper parking lots. As you guys were, or hopefully you recall, we redid the dumpster enclosure in this parking lot. We would like to redo the dumpster enclosure in the north, in the Bachmeyer North Lane parking lot. And then I have a request for a Bachmeyer parking lot sign. We currently do not have one. The old wayfinding sign was completely removed because you could no longer read it. And then I also highlighted the transfer to local streets. So every year we do an appropriation to streets. This amount has fluctuated over the years. In 23-24, we temporarily reduced it to 200,000. We jumped it back up to 375. I had proposed to reduce this to 200 because of the river erosion match, and I wanted to make sure we could still do some capital. And when we get to streets, you'll see that we can still fund our capital improvements at the 200,000. But I highlighted this because I'm making that recommendation. You guys can say, no, we absolutely want to put the 375. Keep in mind, I have it at the 200. So if you do that, it then affects what we can allocate towards capital. So those are our requests there. If you have questions about those specific projects, I think they're pretty straightforward, but let me know. And I just need to figure out if any of these are a priority for us.
Would you have an idea, Danielle, of the last time the seal coated?
I don't know the last time that they were seal coated. I do know that we crack filled them all last fiscal year.
They have been sealed. They were
I don't
remilled.
know that they've ever been seal coated.
They were, but then we remilled them probably 5-6 years ago, but they definitely need
Okay.
it, or you're gonna spend a lot more on
That's,
milling and filling.
Yeah. I would say that the seal needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. They're starting to break, you can see how bad all the.
And I think that if we can, I would recommend that if we are going to seal coat them, we do them together because I think we'll get better pricing. And other than trying to do one at a time. But again, and I'll build this in, we can always look at it again, but. What about the,
Well, hold on, let's talk through real quick. I think you need your front desktop, right, over quick.
Yeah.
Seal coating these, again, the DDA built these and these were built at DDA time back in the day. So again, we're kind of taking over the, DDA's contribution of what they used to do for, again, the bricks and mortar sort of solid kind of thing that goes back to the general fund. So again, everything costs money, whether it's initially building it or maintaining it. It's FYI, there's part of that.
behind Starling and Corky? there.
Oh, that's just picked up. Yes, 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 yes.
Don't, you do that, don't paint that stupid loading zone anymore, there, we don't need that anymore, so. Yeah, Terry's next door, they don't need a loading zone, don't need people parking back there blocking garage.
Oh, you're saying right out back here, the parking spot.
DPW does a heck of a job on that dumpster enclosure, we've been trying to do those for years.
They did it. Yeah, they did a really good job, and they did the birds are not nice, but they did power wash that, as you can tell already, but they would do that in-house again, and we would have it matched, and they reinforced that with, I know you can't see from the outside, but with some metal bars, so that if the dumpsters get pushed back, it hopefully doesn't break all that up, and I don't know if you guys remember the old one was pretty neat. It was smaller slabs, so they would break off pretty easily.
Those signs we talked about. Metal, whatever, they're copper or bronze signs, we. Beat that thing to death, because again, to match what is existing in some of the other. No, we could replace a ton of our signs for much less than 20 grand. Let's.
Yeah, I would,
On these copper signs and bronze signs we want.
I would propose that we go with the wayfinding signs that you guys paid before I was here to design and develop, and just as we replace signs, we start going with that look, but.
That's needed there, Bachmeyer playground is beyond fixing, what's done,
Yeah.
you need to label. Whatever the rest, Wilson, part, so again, we could do a pool sign, but we just need to do something more. A budget for it, but we need everybody instead of something, our plan, replace the home. I love the signs for the 20 grand.
I agree with you.
What, so the 7,700 for the, Bachmeyer parking lot dumpster, that's for, what did I miss here?
Well, that's gonna be for the North Lane Bachmeyer parking lot, right? Yeah, across from.
Okay, that's
And
okay.
that's what they did there.
Understands, okay, yeah.
I have a question on the two seal coating numbers. You made a comment about putting them together or bidding them out together. Does the 18,000 would that be sufficient, or is that too much?
No, I believe that that's sufficient. I guess that's what I just wanted to point out, that that's kind of how we budget them, if we did it at the same time, because we thought it'd be more affordable, so if we cut one of those, it may, I mean, we'd still try to work within the whatever you give us, but.
And as far as, in addition with that seal coating, the loading zone, here, doesn't Terry's, isn't that still part in front of their property, and we would share, even municipal here, share that area? The whole reason that was put in place was because when we had this building, I think Jim thought that we were probably encroaching too much to where chief couldn't get it. So he was making sure that there was plenty of room. And I'll tell you, he did it without asking us. And we were asking for it, that I had to be involved with. So I think if we're going to remove it, we need to check with Terry's, because they purchased the building with that loading zone lined out for them. Is that the same loading zone you're talking about? Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I feel like I have to. I actually didn't know that was a loading zone. I thought it was a parking spot. Is that not?
It was, I don't, was
You
there
know?
a sign? Or
It's just a parking spot.
Yeah, I think it's just the
parking
parking spot.
I know the intention was. We knew we knew how not to come too far in, so that you couldn't get.
It was marked so that people wouldn't walk by.
Yes,
And that's the issue we have, parking the lines. Then you can't.
And we-
access the.
yeah.
Is where
We actually are the ones that use that the most, because Blissfield Heating and Plumbing parked there when they were working on our rooftop units. DPW parks there when they load up our trash. Staff, when we're loading up Taylor for Parks and Rec or DDA events.
They don't
Or,
mark for somebody else to use it.
So I-
You guys use it.
Yeah, but I guess I just wanted to, I know loading and parking don't seem that different, but that's how, what I always thought it was an actual parking spot.
But it's not a good public parking spot. Well, I think all I'm saying is that let's involve Terry's with it.
Yeah, and I've never seen public park there. In fact, I've never seen Terry's park there other than Friday was loading up some stuff and then pulled away. I mean, they park in the parking lot, but I agree, yes. And if we still code, we can look at, because we'll have to restrike all of that.
I agree, both. You gotta get the garage. There's no doubt. So they also need to have access to their garage. So that's what we marked it. Right, right. But if, so people can't park over the lines.
That's the only time I take issue with it, but I can't.
No, I'm just saying, I don't want to lose that for that reason, that people can do what they need. So yeah, you need to, but you gotta. Oh, look at it.
Is there any merit of making it a one-way drive, or over to Jefferson if we're gonna, what do you think, Chief, if there's any merit to it?
I would defer to Chief Frucci because I think he has strong objections.
But
As you know, we almost lost that building a couple of years ago. How they say that building is beyond. I don't know. They should have lost it by the amount of times to get water into the hoses because of the hydrant issue. I'm surprised we didn't lose it. And it's an old building. If there is another fire detail get up on that building ASAP, trying to dance around cars and whatnot, it's gonna be impossible. It's already tight back there. So I'm speaking for Chief Frucci like that, but I think he has major objections to that. That would be my major concern is fire control.
I'm not saying I'm for it, it was just suggesting,
Yeah,
so
I
I remember.
I have some concerns too, because we have a hydrant right there on the corner of Pearl Street and Jefferson. And if we make this a one-way and then the semi trucks that deliver come out and they try to go that way, we had that hydrant hit already when actually during that fire, when they were trying to get around. And I don't know that they can make that corner, especially if there's vehicles parked in those parallel spots. It gets really tight, and we aren't gonna have somebody out there to tell them they have to go this way to get out of there. And then we have them potentially probably coming downtown because they're gonna wanna use the light to turn on to 223. And so I have some concerns with that too. So then potentially you could flip the direction, but then you still gotta get semis now into Jefferson coming into the parking lot. So I think it's not as simple as just making it one way.
It's not. I don't see it.
Yeah,
Can we watch the next thing, please?
yeah, absolutely.
One way thing is not what the budget is about. It is a
Okay, so sign. Dumpster enclosure and Bob's, are we yay, nay on those at this point?
Where are you getting them, Danielle?
That's in,
GF4?
yes, yeah, I'm not keeping up on my. things.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
If you want to budget 21 off for that. But let's do it in the cheaper and get all those signs replaced, so.
Not for just one side.
I will, I don't know that I can do all of those.
No, but let's.
Yes, we can certainly look at that and see what we can do. Dumpster enclosure 7,700. And this would be us doing the work and we buy the materials and it would match the one we have.
Who uses that dumpster enclosure over there?
I don't know. There's one dumpster in there. I drove by the other day and looked at it. There's room for two. No, we have an agreement for this one, the one out in Stockmeyer.
But how many weeks do we even have to have it? What businesses would use that?
I think the upholstery center
That's what I
uses
figured.
it in that. I'm pretty sure, they used to. I can check on that tomorrow, but I think a couple of those businesses use that.
Especially if agreements like.
Yeah, we should have it
B-Town.
like, because B-Town and, well, down it's just B-Town. It used to be Lisa's in B-Town. had an agreement with SCAT one.
They are dumpsters?
No,
No, it's, the enclosure is out, they pay for the dumpsters and take care of that.
otherwise they wouldn't have anywhere, but because there's zero out, right? That's the only reason I think EDA did that. I don't
Right.
got them.
So
that makes sense.
Before.
Yeah, and we have an agreement for this one here with B-Town, Coney Island, that just says that we are responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the enclosure, but that they have to clean up the trash, that they're responsible for the dumpsters, like they're not supposed to leave it open. They have some guys that are responsible with that too.
And that's why the doors got ruined, because it weren't all that. So
Yes.
anybody that signs it.
Laura's writing it down right now.
I'll
She's gonna check out.
I'll vote for it.
Budget? No. Any, wanna wait? $2,000 for the heat pump for the PD armory.
What's your soft one, this brick out here?
Yes, the outside of it.
I was curious if it was good.
So it would be so that we don't feel the paint or damage it, so it's washing. It's, I say soft wash because we're not gonna go blast it and create more issues. Okay, so we've got attorney, the depot, we have some requests here for window replacement and deck board replacement. We've been talking about this, so I initially had 30,000. That was printed on yours. I can't.
No, you
remember.
gotta know the
I did have it changed to the 11, and that's based on the updated quote for the storm windows. And then the 3,000 would be for the material. DPW would do the work. And it's just those top boards are starting to rot out a little bit and flex, and we want somebody to pull through.
Didn't the depot say that they were going to fundraise for the windows, or did I confuse that with something else?
No, they are fundraising for historical signs. They did get a volunteer that came in and pulled out the windows that are in there and repainted and regrouted them and put them back in. So the windows are in really good shape. They are just not, they don't protect them from the weather.
So they're producing this, they want to add storm products.
Correct.
Yes, okay.
And that's what this 11 cup.
I'm good with it.
Are we good with both?
Yes. Yes.
Boy Scout building, they requested in the capital improvement plan, a bathroom remodel. 20,000. They did request insulation for 10,000 and we budgeted 5 and they were gonna pay the other 5. That project I have projected to be done, but it's not yet, and I don't know where they're at on that, so I need to check with Ken on that, as well, but.
The bathroom remodel, what's this constituting?
So my understanding from them is that several years back, their meter is in the bathroom and it broke and caused some subfloor damage. And they're wanting to replace the subfloor and just completely upgrade that bathroom. It's a smaller bathroom, but it's got a toilet and a sink. But the reason it is more expensive is because of the water damage from when the meter froze and broke. Again, that was before my time. I don't know the exact year, but.
Well, that's been a couple of years now, I'm guessing.
Yeah, at least 5.
I'm not comfortable with the whole 20. I'm comfortable with putting some money aside for it. I mean, maybe not getting done this year, but maybe putting, I don't know.
We do budget,
We have anything?
$5,000 for building grounds and maintenance repair for them. And we have not actually ever spent that aside for the 1 year. In the 23-24 year when we painted the outside of it. And we paid $5,000 and they paid, it was an amount not equal to 5,000, but I want to say 2,000 or 3,000.
Have they ever gotten estimates for the bathroom or a bathroom remodel?
So they submitted the request for the installation and the bathroom remodel, to me in last year's capital improvement plan. So I've had those for a couple of years. I don't know that they've gotten any stated one, but I did add a little bit of inflation, which I do to all of our capital projects, just because things don't typically get cheaper.
So you're saying they have 5 grand put away, put to the side already for this, or?
I'm saying I have 5,000 budgeted in buildings, grounds and maintenance that we don't have anything specific for that. We usually kind of keep that in there for anything that comes up. So I'm just saying that you could use a portion of that or add to
For
that.
the bathroom remodel.
Right, yes.
I want to guess the floor is unsafe. That needs to be done. You been in there?
I have been in there. I will tell you though, I did not use the bathroom. So I'm not sure if I've been in the scout building, but I don't know. And they have done some work. They put in a new water furnace, new water heater. We did the windows with them, correct? I think is how that was going to work. We painted the exterior. They are replacing the sign. So I don't know,
Okay, so we could do the 5,000 that you have put to the side. And then go to 15,000, and that would be the 20,000, and that would be done. There be anything more that they would need besides the insulation?
I have not had any other requests from them other than the insulation of bathroom remodel. But
Get with our attorney and say what we gotta do to unload this. Give us $1 and here's your penalty for $25,000 I have.
I've had that conversation more than once. There's
talked
no
about-
termination. Yes, there's no termination, so they would have to agree to end it mutually before the end date. And then take it over. Otherwise, at the end of the term for that agreement, we would say we're not gonna.
For the Boy Scouts, what they do, everything else, I can't start a fire to save my life. But Boy Scouts will not be under the rubble.
That's why I don't understand.
I do agree with you on that too.
So what is, do you remind us on handing out
I
termination?
wanna say it's 2038. 2037 or 30.
That's the date I remember. It's 137, 611.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think it's 37, it's like it was a 99-year lease that was signed in 38. I know I set a reminder for it. Well, seriously, because I'm like, I'm gonna remember this, or if I'm gone, then the next person will know.
I don't see them in all reality saying, yeah, let's do that, because it's not in their favor to do that.
We're gonna argue in a few minutes, though, the festival, right? So how much do we spend on that? Like, what is that? We're getting, and that's 30, 40, 50,000 people versus 20. They get the thing for the same amount of buck for, the Boy Scouts that we spend every year.
Or
There used to be.
are they gonna let us pay for all the, they'll say, what if we just get the private building? And then there won't be nothing else left to do. because
Certainly don't want to kick them out. We don't want to make them,
Right.
well, we want to make 100,000, but again, we want to be fair. We shouldn't be in it. Much like some of these other things that I would
We have
discuss.
talked about that before.
I would much rather do a win-win, or we're not gonna really maintain that building, walk away, and everybody would. And they have their building.
I don't disagree. I do not think that I should be funding that. But I agree. Kind of like more operating that, and I mean, none of us wrote that agreement thing, but.
What was the 7,500 that we did with them? In the 25-26 amended budget, we had $7,500. Is that
The installation waiting for it.
It's building grounds and maintenance.
So that's our current budget, and we had budgeted, I don't know why it was 7,500, honestly. We have not spent any of that, and I've not projected to spend that either. That's this current fiscal year. Because we budgeted that plus the 5,000 installation.
so we're looking at 12 and 13.
Yes, well, by this current fiscal year that's not been spent yet.
Can't that go towards the $20,000 bathroom thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then say here your building's done.
I mean, the 5,000 is for insulation, so
Right,
then you have
right.
7,500.
Right.
Well, that amended budget, that should be. Here, right?
That's the current fiscal year budget, yes.
That's a 7,750 for us, right? What you're saying, Ken?
Yeah, 7,500 can be amended, 20.
Is that
Yeah.
25, 26 is this budget?
Yep. 25, 26 amended budget, and then 25 to 26 activity through April, end of April. So. 6 amended budget, we have $7,500 for building and grounds repairs and maintenance. And then we also have $5,000 under the capital projects for the insulation. For this year, and then. Projected year end is 5,000 for the insulation, you have that, but then there's no 7,500 spent. Right. So we're not expecting to spend 7,500, is how I'm reading that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, would you foresee them to, anything that Dave could do? I thought Dave looked at this, that he was pretty much,
Yeah,
keep this.
he said the only way to get out of that is if they mutually agree to it.
I don't see that happening.
I'll take a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
What if we gave them a $15,000 donation? And said, we'd like you to let go of let's get out of this lease now. We will give you a $15,000 donation towards your bathroom.
We can't donate something. So,
We get what I'm saying.
Right, yes.
I like that.
Or we'll put that towards the bathroom. Kind of thing.
It moving forward
Yeah.
to dissolve that agreement.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, if we could pull that off, that would be great.
And we also own the building, so we decide who we sell it to.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, if Gwen comes in and wants to pay $100,000 for it, fine, but that doesn't mean we have to sell it, we can still sell it to the Boy Scouts for whatever we want. There's a win-win. Okay.
Mhm.
Upload.
I like it.
Even if we just, we give them the building and here you go.
That's why.
You guys, you're actually proving my point because we're discussing this right now. So thanks. Love it.
So Danielle, how do you bring it?
So I put 10,000 plus the 5,000 for buildings and grounds that we have budgeted would make the 15. And then I made myself a note to follow up with them on, we would give 15 for repairs to the building in exchange for us terminating the agreement to take responsibility.
Love it.
And I'll work out the logistics on that more specifically, but
Right, and then you would present that. Or we would present, or how would that work?
I would have something prepared up for you guys to approve, and then we would need to present that to them. I would, and we can talk about that more. I'd probably present it and then say, do you want to come talk to council about this, or how do you want to meet individually, kind of see what works for them?
Okay. So is there, so I'm still trying to figure this component out of all of this. So is it appropriate if we'll just do it, would it be appropriate if any one of us had various contacts within the Boy Scouts to try to work behind the scenes with this as well? To see if that's something that we could negotiate and then bring out forefront, or is that not? Is that not an appropriate thing? Does it need to go through you?
So I don't know that it has to go through me, but I do not think that it would be appropriate for you to act unless you have approval from the whole council.
So I wouldn't say on behalf of, but if I were to present ideas to somebody, such as when we say, could you present an idea to such and such? Well, I know that Lori's sitting here, so we said, could you present an idea to somebody? If I know somebody, can I present an idea for discussion and then it comes, obviously no decision can be made by me. That would be silly. But can I get the ball rolling? Is that?
Yes, as long as we agree, like.
Oh, just get the ball rolling,
Absolutely.
but then no,
I think, yes, you just can't, I think you need to be clear that you're not making a commitment that the whole council would have to make this.
But
Yeah.
here's the- why do you-
I heard some things that we suggested, that we talked about. What do you think? Is that cool? Is that all right?
Yes, I think that it is okay to do things like that.
Okay.
I would definitely share that with the group, just so we're all on the same page. And again, I think just make sure that they understand you're not saying this is guaranteed, or this will happen, or that it's
Yes,
just very.
can't make
clear that-
promises, don't quit
Right.
football.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay, that's okay. So I have an idea. To present to some people, and let me work it out, I'll tell them that we're doing this potential presentation. What do you think? Is that something you could encourage more on to? What do we think?
Could be a potential win-win situation.
Yeah,
And based on the previous discussions that we had at one of those committees, they know that we've been looking into that. So, yeah.
well, that's true, thank
Yeah,
you.
'cause we did.
Set it up.
Okay, that's the thing, I don't wanna step out of line,
Because we've already had discussion.
but at the same time. Who's going to?
So municipal improvement, I had just made a kind of a highlighter note, Memorial Day parade is included in those wages. I know we talked about that this year again, I'm not saying it should be cut, I just wanna make that kind of bring it up there, as. Yes. Make sure we're all thinking. Capital projects specifically within municipal improvement. We have wayfinding entryway signs specifically, the total 17,070, sorry, not 17, I wish. You guys did budget 15,000 this current fiscal year. I've projected to spend none of that because 15 will not cover it.
But
So-
Fairmont did carry it over.
So yes, you want to carry that forward? Do you want to add to it? Is my question. I did not earmark this, Mike, because this was such a split. I was not sure when this got approved the last time. It was on the fence council, so I didn't know which direction you were gonna go on this one. And then the other request is, and this was in the capital improvement plan, the US 223 tree removal and decorative lights. So where we recently planted trees on the other side of 223, it was in the capital request, and I think this was requested, I want to say probably 4 years ago, to remove those and actually install decorative lights on that side of 223 as well. And as you guys know, those decorative lights are not cheap. So I don't know if that's still a priority. If it's not approved, it would just push everything up for years. But those are our requests within municipal improvement.
Well, we talked about wayfinding for how many years now, we pushed down. So, one is literally broken.
I will keep pushing.
Yeah, the one by TLC, a tree came down and it chipped the top right corner of it. So it's down to just the plywood behind it. And it's
But knocked it right out.
a pretty
Jumped
good
right out.
portion of it. It's like the plywood backing, right? It's still there. It's just the sign is in front of the plywood backing is completely gone.
Well, the sign is plywood, so it's just got a chunk out of it.
I thought there was still the backing there, but either way, there is in that top right corner. I don't know if every day I'm like, well, that's ugly, but it's just because I come in that way too.
No, for me, no 70,000. We want to put some money towards it for another year, take it down the can. I'm cool with that, but I don't think that that's important at all. Not in comparison to some other things that we need. My thoughts. You basically decide.
It's fluff, but I don't see us doing
I was just gonna
a
say.
whole,
I agree with
Um,
Fluff.
but it's vital to the DEA, it's vital to our image. It's, again, there's wants and needs, and then you got a little bit of fluff in there that you have to do to stay vital or viable, right? So, yeah, if it's enough to spend, I think we could lower the cost. I don't think we need the backs on the sides. I don't think we need a lot of the things.
That 70,000 is removing the back
That is
of
what
them,
it was.
and it's getting rid of the fake brick bases as well.
What is your?
Or,
what is
no,
your-
I'm lying to you. It's like a veneer instead of actual brick. So they were designed to be a brick base with the sign Bliss, welcome to Blissfield, and then on the back it says it's Bliss, it's America. And we got rid of the back completely, so it's one-sided, and then it's like a, what do you call it?
Veneer.
Is it veneer? Okay, I said that and then thought it was wrong. So it's like a veneer base or fake, kind of like a fake.
Yeah, we
Bricks
priced,
to it
we
and-
priced out a brick, just one brick.
Apparently.
So it would be the. it's still good.
This-
But not later.
It's that veneer kind of fake brick.
But durable, not.
Yes.
painted Or something.
Yes,
No,
no,
it's not.
it's not paneling.
I can actually say I've never understood. And all these ones.
But that's because we did try to look at how we could do that. And we applied for the T-Mobile grant, and that's when we made a lot of those changes because the maximum you could get on that was 50,000. We applied for that twice, and both years did not get it.
So we will again. Sure. We'll find again.
We can put 20 towards it, that'd be half the 30, half the 70, and the 35. We can put 20 towards it, with the 15's already there.
I'm comfortable with that.
So 35 total.
Yes.
And you're marking it?
You're right. Yes. I'm okay with that.
First, yeah, I just
I
give it.
really am. And I just don't want to do the whole thing at one time. If we do. I know it's not what we like, but it's getting there. I just not go with the 71.
220 green decorative lights.
I don't understand that. Help me out with that, Dana, because the trees are gone, when you've got the new ones in.
Replaced,
So
yeah.
help me with this, so the 165 is for the light? They have to go around the little tree.
No, this
So then
would
it's-
be, to remove those trees
Those little trees we just planted.
and put decorative lights, like the downtown decorative lights.
No, the trees would stay, they would be in between where the outlets are. It should be like 14 trees, it should be like 8 or 9.
So tree
So the
lights
trees are there,
in between the trees.
so this,
You wanna put a decorative light.
Yeah, because when they did the TE grant, they planned only for the side of the street or for the sidewalk. They didn't do enough lumens to actually light the street. Sort of a budget safe measure. So the intent there was to do the the other side of the street and follow the existing light style.
So 8 lights.
can I ask if I there's a big question?
So the trees
are
would
already there.
stay.
Trees
The
stay.
trees would stay there, okay.
Yeah, we paid.
Can I ask
Walk for the
a
tree.
question?
Yeah, but
So are we talking like between the bridge and then the businesses on that side?
yes,
So that property, is that part of the DPW property right now? Okay. Disregard.
and I mean, I would love to see it. There's a lot of money. Maybe we wait until the PennDOT comes through and designs their
Bam.
stage and
Yeah.
wait.
Well,
We're gonna be
Right.
for that for when they rebuild that.
Yes.
So I still say we set more aside to an extent, because we're trying the hardest heck of the DPA. We're just, what, 20,000 a year, right? 40.
Oh, a year?
20
No,
Yeah, so I mean, we're,
Okay.
yeah, we're not gonna do crap for that, so I'm saying like. Let's continue to plan stuff out, do this sort of all about the mission vision statement, what do we want to try to accomplish, but how do we, easily do it, pay for it over time.
Does the 165 pay for the 8 lights?
Hope so. I have another question, just because I'm curious, you know, MDOT talking about coming down and redoing roads through there and stuff, is that gonna affect what we put on either side of the road?
So, they are planning on doing that. Their road width will stay the same, but yes, it could potentially, like, they will be doing sidewalk storm replacement. They're going to be working with us to do, water sewer main. We have lead service lines down 223, so service laterals will be replaced to the house. Which we will have to fund, but so yes, there is potentially an impact. when they go through.
Those won't, though, those are out
I-
back.
there's
They're
not-
almost the railroad right
There's
away.
not sidewalk over there now. I would think that would be minimally impacted on that specific area.
More on the south side.
Correct.
I just hate.
I would think there's not.
Say, let's do this now, and then down the road, then that comes in and. Yeah, and then we're having to pay to. Put it back.
So do we want to earmark much smaller amount to carry through at the time that happens, so that
Yeah, definitely board for that.
what would be a couple amount? I have no idea.
We don't know how to like to. Right.
Read it that.
Right.
This is.
We already know they're expensive. How many lights do you think?
32, they, do we just,
32, so 6.
It's 8 lights if you,
8 lights?
yes.
Okay.
You guys, which one? I'm not, I don't envision that, so sorry.
I would, if it's municipal improvement, we don't have to earmark it as that, you can earmark it as future 223 enhancements, and we can do something, but you know. Whatever the priorities are of that council, whether it's seating or
Yeah.
brickwork or whatever, lighting, decorative lighting, $200,000 streetlights, I mean, whatever it is. Then they can decide at that time, but we're setting them up for them to be able to do something at that time, rather than say, and that's gonna come through curb to curb.
I'd be that, I want to say we're doing a general usage of that, so.
Yes.
How much?
General usage, 25.
25?
1.3.
That's what I'm saying. For general
25?
use, for general use.
Can be expensive.
Going once? No. I'm just kidding.
I'd say higher, but yeah, I just, but
Then speak up now. What do you want to do?
prefer 50, but I'll meet you somewhere in the middle.
740. Suggested 50 or something.
I can put 50 in.
I would go 50.
And then look at it all when we're all done and see how we break out here.
Cool.
Okay. So I do have a.
You know, if we wait till 32.
Right.
Right. We will
Okay.
be,
Okay.
we'll be in the same kind of boat that we are.
All right. I would like some clarification on this. So when you guys don't fund a capital improvement project, I carry that forward to the next year. So I'm renaming this 223 rehab allocation.
Oh,
Am I keeping the decorative lights for future years though?
whatever.
Well, we don't want to lock that, we can't lock that in. Correct, we don't want to lock that in.
Right, so I'm asking, I would maintain the general allocation that you guys just said, but then I, under normal practice, would carry forward the light replacement to next fiscal year. And I'm asking if you're saying that project is cut and we're doing general, or if I would carry that forward in that project.
We're gonna have to piecemeal what we can afford to do during that whole redesign, so it probably should be included in there. But that scope could expand to fencing and seating and whatever else, you know what I mean, as I said.
Well, yeah, but
We still have the ultimate control.
So you're wanting me to cut the project and merge it into a rehab capital improvement plan? Project.
I'm good with that. I'm better with that.
as long as it gives future councils
But that's.
freedom
I believe it would.
to move around in there.
Yeah, even like we earmarked the DDA stuff, we had to, we could pull that unfortunately and spend it elsewhere.
Police department,
Stop. Sorry. I've already talked to Lori about this. Lori told me I was gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. We already talked about it. I am not very comfortable with the $20,000 in DDA, and I'd like to explain why. Or written down, so make sure.
go girl.
But we are transfer out. to
no,
DDA.
it's actually an economic development. It used to,
Sorry.
it used to come out of municipal improvement and I moved to that a few
Okay.
years back.
Never mind.
But I have to show it there because there's history.
Gotcha.
But I'm waiting.
I know you.
Okay, so moving on to police department. So we have a couple of requests here. we have a vehicle. I put this in based on our previous conversation, because I think what some of council was saying is that you would like to get rid of Chief's current vehicle. And we would buy the new one, and then he would take over as the next oldest vehicle, which is the Durango.
That's what I didn't know.
Well, I had them go so they could see, so that's 70,000, so I have that in there. You can change it, but just so you guys know where we're at. I have the in-car lease payments and the LPR and body worn, we have lease agreements, so you guys have approved those, we have to budget that amount. So the next thing that we have for the police is portable radios. We did budget, we're asking $6,200. I made a note. This is one of those projects, we're asking for $6,200, which will not fund it. The total replacement cost is about $45,000. We would like to every year put money away so that we don't get to the point we need to replace these and have nothing saved up. So we're trying to look to the future. Obviously, we can do less than the 62, we can do more and try to hit that sooner, but that's where the 62 is coming from and kind of that note on the side there. We're also requesting weapon replacement with the holsters. There was some information that went out to you guys on that a month and a half ago-ish about. And then we do have wireless microphones, request for $3,800. Chief has identified that the priority would be that weapon replacement with holsters. But obviously, if you guys have questions about any of these, Chief's gonna be your best person to talk to about this. Myself and I can build in anything that you want there. Keep in mind, right now I have the 70 included.
And I'm gonna state with the 70,000, and I appreciate the work of our police department, obviously what they do for our community. I wrote myself a little note here, and I recognize that having the reliable equipment is important. However, at this time, I am not comfortable with supporting the purchase of another police vehicle. The PD represents a significant investment from our general fund. I'm very cool with that, but I also believe it is important that we balance the needs of all the village departments. And that is where I had talked with Danielle earlier today, just talking about the percentage of our, that's the verbiage I want to use, Danielle. And I don't know if you were able to come up with something or not.
Yeah,
And that's where amount of time.
I did. It's very informal. I don't love the presentation of this,
Can
but
we make it just a little bigger for us too?
I didn't have much time.
No, you
And
didn't.
I called me like 15 minutes.
I did. I was supposed to call her and I totally forgot.
So I did, this is our total expenses, for the entire village and then what each of the funds overall represent. So our general fund is 27% of our entire village. But keep in mind, I did that, that was kind of Gwen's first question. But the challenge with that is it's not really a fair representation because as you guys know, our water and sewer funds can't go elsewhere. Or our Act 51 money can't be spent on anything other than roads. So it isn't always proportionate to where your revenues go.
Right.
But I did do that. So I did break out general fund a little bit more detail based on their expenses and our total general fund expenses of the 2.7. So then I've got on the right-hand side, the percentage of our total expenditures within general fund for each of the departments. And this is a little bit, I was trying to scramble. So I have parks where I combined, that's Ellis, that's the transfer to the pool, that's Barber Field, Claire Bachmeyer, all combined. The police budget, admin is myself, the administrative assistant, the clerk, the treasurer, our attorney is included in admin. And then I kind of went through, and some of these I maybe could have merged a little bit better, but again, I was trying to get this done. So that kind of shows you.
And that's
The
essentially,
percentage.
Danielle, what I was just looking for to see that, just to get some guidance, where is the actual percentage of the general fund going towards? And that's why I made my statement, is kind of like where Chief is going with this, I was under the impression that the vehicle was gonna be in the following year's budget. As you had just stated earlier, Chief, it was not in 27. If I'm understanding correctly, it's a 28 budget. It's kind of what we had been hoping for without going through all that discussion of the charger, et cetera, et cetera.
But keep in mind that next vehicle's 10 years old already.
I understand.
And when we don't budget replacement, we're spending more in maintenance.
I understand.
And that's I think the balancing act that
It is a very
And
difficult.
it's hard for us to project that because we can say we've been on the last 10 years spent, and I'm gonna make up a number, this is not accurate, because I'm going off the top of my head too, but the last 10 years, we've spent 15,000 in maintenance. Well, it's 10 years old, so that 15 could jump to 40, and we don't have an accurate way to
I've got,
project that.
you give me the car. But it will spend.
I know he keeps trying,
But that's the,
and that's where we, I think, got behind in some of our replacement. We had the same issue with DPW. I mean, they were driving a pickup truck with a hole in the floor.
Right.
And we're trying to be better about that so that we're not paying those crazy, or we're not coming to you in the middle of a budget year because we've tried to stretch it out saying, hey, we couldn't stretch it out and we tried to. And so
that's just my take. I'm only one member of the group. Was my position on that.
So, and when I look at the percentage of police, that's a 24/7 business. So you're gonna always have a higher percentage, I think, when you're funding a 24/7 business. Even though it's a lot. You have to keep those.
And again, this is just my perspective. Yeah. I mean, like,
No,
if
thank you
it's-
for sharing
if the
that.
six of you are on to doing it, then that's what we're gonna do.
No, thank you for sharing that though.
That's.
But with the charges going down, I almost feel like you have to do it. Now, that's what
And I
I'm hearing.
understand that too.
Yeah. And then we would decommission the Durango, make that right back over. Yeah,
I understand.
but I think that going down, we have to do it.
And I almost feel like if we wait, then we're gonna be in a charter situation. Unfortunately.
Yep, I understand.
Unfortunately.
And the Charger last year at this stage and the Durango now, the mileage is roughly the same. So we're at the same point now with the Durango that we were at with the Charger last year. I'm not saying the Durango's gonna blow up, I hope it doesn't.
but that's
But this year,
about churches.
I remember the conversation that year.
the Durango this year, we've already spent $3,000. That number, and I put all the cars, but it, obviously, when they get older, the number goes up and up and up. And like Danielle said, it's a balancing act. We keep the car, we spend more on maintenance. So do we spend more on maintenance to keep it, or do we trade it?
But all of our departments have done very well using what they have.
Absolutely.
Most part, so.
Absolutely. And I can also say that Charger, just the experience I have with listening to my husband and my son, my daughter who are in law enforcement, the Chargers were crap police vehicles. So hopefully the Durango, I've not heard really too much
They mentioned.
saying it, yeah, okay.
Then we're good.
So we're gonna end up being in the same position. And then we're gonna be playing catch up again.
Well, at least we're not handling two cars now. We're
Right.
kind of all on the same page,
Right,
so
there we go.
I'm
Right.
much better.
Yes.
And I just want to make it clear, when, Danielle and I, we're trying to find the most economic way to run the PD and maintain the vehicles with that balancing act. Do we keep them and spend more on maintenance, or do we go ahead and get the car? And that, the objective there was what is gonna be most financially beneficial to the village. That's really, we were focused on that. That was our primary.
I agree with that as well, and I think you guys did that, but looking at mileage and things like that, you know, some people may feel like that may be a bonus, you know, and we can't always pay the wages or the benefits or whatever. If you're getting some mileage and you're going training, we're paying to invest in, hopefully you're gonna stay here. You'll get a little bit of kickback on the mileage more than using some old crappy police car, because I rode Pittsburgh in a beast, and that's not fun. So it's not necessary for us to, like you said, we spend more, just keep, holding on to them. Doing the replacement costs or the fixing, the maintaining them.
The officers are not keen on driving their whole car to during trainings. And when they can, we do let them take control of it.
How are we feeling about the portable radio allocation? The weapons or the weapons microphones, any of those?
It would be nice if the county would come with portables, since it's a sort of a mandate on the 900 or 800. So I think we need to keep pushing on them. They continue to push us into getting the climates or getting this or getting et cetera. They should help offset those costs. And much like we talked with the 911 funding, if your radios aren't working, because that's a county system, it's a state system, that's not our fault, right? We shouldn't have to invest in that. They should fix the problems. So if the radios become obsolete or the radios aren't working like they should, so you say the problem, they should contribute to help. So
You're touching on white hot issues, so it's gonna
okay.
do that a whole.
I'm also.
Snake push that eight. Sorry. I just.
Oh.
Okay. You have the floor, Ken.
Does the contract with the union come into play with any of these items here? I'm assuming no.
For the capital project?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
It's just wages. Well, our agreement does say that we will provide certain things for like uniforms and vesting, but I think we do a really good job of keeping our officers supplied with their needs with,
Yes.
is that,
And if we do go, if the wireless mics, for instance, are approved, this is new technology. I'm not gonna run and buy 7 at once. I'm gonna buy one and we're gonna test it and make sure it lives up
Right.
to all the hype. It's a Motorola product, and I mean, Motorola, it's like 10-star. I mean, anything we've got, but it's fantastic. So I don't anticipate it to be a problem, but again, I would want to buy one, demo it for a while, make sure it's gonna live up to all the hype before we charge it.
And this is what I want to see.
Yeah, it's the shoulder mic without the cord.
Gotcha.
The radios actually have a Bluetooth feature, so they're Bluetooth free.
Good safety thing too. Yeah. The cord can't be disconnected and wrapped around their neck in a fight.
Okay, so just so I can catch up, are we saying we go ahead with everything yellow?
I do.
And we're teaming new weapons right now. We've got 3 that we have demo models that we're going to test them here short.
So the next item that we have next fund is DPW. That we're still on GF7 page if you're looking at your ours copy. I actually have 2 requests. I just noticed I didn't highlight the desktop computer and office chair. So we need to replace Brent's computer. And then he really needs a new office chair. We had actually budgeted an office chair for him a couple of years ago. I gotta chuckle at him a little bit. He saw the price and he's like, I'm not spending that much money, and never got one. So now we're like 3 years from when he really, really needed one. He really needs an office chair. So I did build that 2,000 in that's right under the relocation. You guys technically could change that, but he really needs those.
I did the same thing. I bought a $4 chair. I'm getting $4 worth out of it. I know you're soon.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I'm not spending $2 on a chair. But
Yeah, you want to get Brent riled up a little bit, ask him about the cost of these chairs.
You can just give me one of those.
It's, yeah, it would, the 2,000 is the chair and the desktop replacement.
So it's a $900 chair.
Well, I'm hoping it's not gonna be that much, but
They're stupid prices.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the relocation of DPW facility. This is, again, it's part of that capital improvement plan, so it's, I think it was in there last 2 years now, and we just need here to get forward, so. We don't have to allocate to that, but I don't want it to fall off our radar, we put something towards it. We can't afford all of it. Tell you guys that, especially because we have more capital to look at, but. So totally up to you guys on that.
Split it again. Put 200,000, 700.
Okay.
Try that.
So we still can come back to that, right?
Yeah, you're gonna, if you put 200, you're going to have to.
We're gonna have to.
You want me to tell you where you're at now?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. So as of now, and we still, that's more capital, with a 2-month reserve, you have 384, 378 remaining for capital. So if you put the 200 there, you'd have 184,000.
Right,
to
great,
put towards-
okay.
yeah.
Thank you. We're putting nothing there.
I say we do a Facebook GoFundMe.
Okay. Any other, the safety equipment and the codes, all that's been taken care of then?
We actually, I have, it's in capital, but we
Right.
do that as an annual,
Okay.
yes, just to keep up on it, so we don't have to do a major replacement.
And the same thing where it says the new equipment, that's the same thing of the
The new
rehab.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we budget just again to keep up on things. That's not any, like, I don't know specifically what they're gonna need, but just when they do, they got something there.
Thank you.
So did we wanna put anything in that PPW right now, or we wanna hold off?
I think we come back to, let's come right back to it, yeah, please, but let's not forget it.
Yes, I've got it, so I did too. Engineering, I did put 80,000 here for the river erosion, and that is, really, I don't know what to put there because we've kind of. I don't wanna say stop, we've not stopped, we're looking for grants. I wanted to have something there because a lot of grants that we would need to apply for that will require some engineering, some design work. And I wanted to have some money to be able to reach out to them to apply for them as they become available. I don't know of any right now. I'm really discouraged by the hazard mitigation grants, because they were so optimistic and then we didn't get a score high enough to qualify. But, so that, I don't know if you wanna cut that until we have a grant and then revisit. I don't know if you wanna reduce that. I'm not really sure.
We've been putting it for the erosion. On a
Well,
yearly
we were putting in quite a bit more because we did we're to the,
basis.
right, we did the phases, so we're to the point now where it's design and funding. And I don't think we should move forward with design until we have funding, because I don't wanna spend the money and then have to change it so we've kind of paused because we don't have millions of dollars to do this project.
I'm comfortable with the 80,000 because that is that was part of our goals,
Yes.
is the whole erosion thing. And hence the reason I'm for the 80. If we don't do something with that erosion down there for that road, we're gonna be up forever. So can that be one of those allocated or earmarked, whatever word you want?
Yeah, that's kind of why I put it in there. So then if we get a grant, we've got some money to work with, then we can, if not, we can reallocate or keep it there or whatever we need to. Going through, we don't have any capital for trash, planning commission, nothing, zoning, nothing, economic development. We don't have capital, but this is where we have that $20,000 transfer to DDA. And it sounds like you wanted to discuss that.
If you but Lori stepped out. But and just like pretty here where I already discussed it with her. My opinion, my thoughts on it.
We can give her, so I'm gonna skip, if you're okay, we'll come back when she gets back.
Yeah.
So the next department is our recreation. I have $240,000 proposed to go to recreation as a transfer for the pool. We can talk about this here, but I think it'll be better served if we talk about it when we talk about parks and recreation, and then we can always adjust that. I also do need to apologize to you guys. I made a mistake in this current year's budget when we did that allocation. I did not allocate the donated funds that we have for the trail, the 15,000. So I am asking to move that into the Parks and Rec fund, and then it will be earmarked within that fund. I had it earmarked in general fund, so it's not like it was missing. I should have transferred it into Parks and Rec. So I apologize
That's
for
the
that.
Rotary broke the trail, Johnny Clinton Trail you're referring to.
No, this is actually was donated by the Barber Foundation to do some sort of walking trail out at the pool. And that's now that Laura's here, let's jump back. So DDA is requesting $20,000. They've requested this the last several years. They historically, and again this year, they take that 20,000 and it helps offset their DPW costs. Because again, we do bill DPW for actual time and services. And I will say that Laura and her board and subcommittees have done a really good job of trying to keep that to a minimal and get volunteers to do as much as they can. But they're trying to stretch their dollars the best they can.
And we've got to turn it over to the 20,000, I recognize. And I just want to go on record for this part, that's why I'm doing it. Like I said, to go on the record. Laura, you know, I appreciate what you gave. I don't need to go into all of that. But at this time, I do not support $20,000 allocation to the DDA. I support funding $15,000 for it. Because my concern is that sponsorships that were expected were ultimately forgiven, reducing anticipated revenues. Before increasing / continuing village's financial commitment, I believe the DDA board should demonstrate stronger accountability in collecting pledge sponsorships. Until I see that level of accountability with sponsorships, I'm just more comfortable with the 15,000. Specifically, I was concerned that one of the unpaid sponsorships involves a current DDA board member whose obligation was waived. That raises questions for me about consistency and accountability. That's all I wanted to say. You know exactly where I'm going with that. That's my 2 cents.
Would you like me to respond?
If you'd like, yes.
So I certainly understand, and I have, I really can't speak for the board of why they did that. That's
Right.
something maybe Mike can address. But we do have things in place to mitigate that in the future. If they do not pay their sponsorship by October 31st, they do an ACH, if they want to make payments, I guess I should say, they would go to an ACH form and it would be deducted from their account. So moving forward, we've already made that.
You've learned from this.
Yes, we did learn from this.
The only other thing that I would suggest then, that could perhaps be gleaned from this issue, is that if someone like us, I have to pay my taxes in order to run for this position. If someone has a sponsorship and they have not fulfilled their sponsorship, or they have not fulfilled some sort of payment towards the DDA, then I don't think that that person should be allowed to be on the board.
Would you like to see that in our bylaws?
I would like to see it somewhere. Because I think that that's, I mean, I don't know if it's in our bylaws or where it's in the rule of that, but yes, as we all know,
I think it would have to be in the DBA.
then I would encourage that to be something thought about in the DDA bylaws. In conjunction with what you have just shared about the payment plan. I just don't think that somebody that's should be on a board if they did not pay $3,800 towards a sponsorship.
Is that, I was just gonna ask how much.
$3,800.
I would feel guilty if it was me. On boards.
Well, that's something I'd like the DDA board to consider. That's, I don't need to go into all that. That's not what this budget meeting is for. I've said my piece. That's why I not comfortably go with 20,000. I can go with the 15, but again, there's 6 other people up here. That's my opinion. Thank you for that.
We'll mention that because we've talked about lots of maybe said we're about changing up, but
No, I don't want to.
serving on any sort of board, we've kind of updated the rules and bylaws or requirements to serve on a board. So that's something that
Like,
Yeah, we updated a lot of them, and I know Laura was doing a section of your bylaws there for a little bit too. And
Yeah, we've gone through them, but that is certainly not in the bylaws, so we.
and unfortunately, sometimes you have to learn.
When something happens, things get corrected.
exactly,
And the whole 20, it's kind of ugly, and it's more like, I think Dana brought it to the table because it's more of a checks and balances on what actually is being spent. We've kind of fought as DDA board members, well, DPW's out collecting garbage or something somewhere outside of town, how is that, you know what I mean, is it really taken out of the DDA part, or is it taken out just this general
General fund.
DPW? So it's sort of a give and take, it's more so just a budgeting line item and saying, this is how much we're actually having them spend in the DDA.
Understand.
So,
No, you're worried.
and I said this
Right.
before,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it again, just so everybody knows. If you guys want to, we can do DPW budgeted on percentages, not actuals. It is totally up to you. Historically, the village has wanted the actuals. A lot of communities, we're not doing it wrong, but a lot of communities say, because their DPW is similar, they just look at an average and say, you're gonna pay X amount of percent. Some years they go over that, some years they go under that, but it kind of all ends up washing out over time. Always an option. I'm not saying we should change it. I just want to make sure you guys understand that that is a potential option or a change that you could.
So there are other municipalities that do the percentage.
Yes, again, they do it our way and a set percentage. It's really across the board, depending on what the municipality's preference is. Neither is right or wrong. It's just what is the board's preference? How do they want to see that? So I don't have a preference either. Again, I just,
For everything else, why keep not, why change it to percent if we have numbers, costs for everything else?
I think they know what you're saying, that that's not.
I just want to, yes, I just always want to make sure you guys know that if you wanted to adjust that or change that, you could.
I like to see the numbers myself as opposed to a percentage and not have to worry about it washing out at the end.
And like for the DDA, we do everything that we can that the DPW, in other words, the DPW only does stuff that we can. I guess that's how I should phrase that. Any way we can save money, we do.
I'm reading the 20,000, I think the rest, correct. So then going through, I don't have anything for the pool that's moved to Parks and Rec again. I highlighted festival. Same as Memorial Day parade, this something that's budgeted, so I did notate, and I just want to highlight that this does not include PD wages, which are actually within their wages, but we do account for that.
Are you saying that 240 going back to the pool, that's about what it's gonna cost, or that's pretty close to where you're at?
Yes, and we can talk about that, because I do have, there's a couple of capital, I've got some recommendations on that. So the festival, I've got projected at the 8,625 plus the PD wages, which are in the. And I'm not saying we should make changes there, I would treat that the same as other budgeted events.
Does that 8625 include the other expenses of water, electricity, and that type of thing too, or no?
So I know the
Because we don't
water.
know what those numbers are yet.
The water and electricity gets budgeted directly from the parks, and that's included in those. And those are pretty minor in the whole scheme of them. I think water last year was, I think it was like $60, and I want to say electricity was like 40. So that's budgeted within Ellis and Bachmeyer parks. Because I don't pay a separate bill for the festival, it's just how I calculate that is I look at the increase to our historical, and then I'm really estimating roughly during that time what is normal operations and what's festival.
And we don't know at this point what the PD weighted work of the 26th.
I do actually. That's the only cost I have finalized
Okay.
for the 26th festival. I'm still working on that at this point, but if you. There. Yeah, that's why I said the PD is the only part that I could tell you accurately is correct. Because I am working on that expense tracker like I have in the past, just as I anticipated you would ask again, so. Our PD wages this year were $3,303.19. That includes benefits.
What was that again?
$3,303.19.
So that's the 3303 on top of the 2200 wages. You have that correct?
Correct. The wages in that specific budget are
Okay.
DPW specific, so it's PD plus
Well,
DPW.
that's what,
Yes.
okay, so we added 3300 on top of the 8600,
Yes,
understand?
which is pretty close to what we budgeted this year. I
12.9, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was right around there.
So are you looking for a number then, Danielle, for the festival miscellaneous? Is that what you're referring to? Is that?
No,
what-
I'm just asking if you guys want it budgeted
Okay,
or, okay, so if you budget it
yes,
and they apply next year for their special event permit application, we will review it internally and approve it, and then they'll be allocated this budget. If they want more than this,
that's what we,
they'll have to come to council, and then I'll just present, if they want nothing more, I'll present it as information to you guys. If you are saying, no, we don't want to allocate, they need to request a budget to us, then I would remove those things and they would have to come and ask you guys to be co-sponsors. Because this is the first budget year I'm trying to project out our
Yes.
events following that ordinance change. So I just want to make sure that you got, because if you commit to this, you don't approve it. We do, unless, again, they're asking for more money. Same with the Memorial Day parade. Next year, when I get that application, we'll approve it internally and it'll be shared with you guys, but I'm not gonna come to you unless they ask for more money.
understand. So if we were to approve, let's say $11,000 for the festival, let's say the bill actually come to be $13,000.
Then they would be
Would that-
responsible to
They'd
pay,
still be responsible for the 2,000, correct? Because we've already budgeted.
correct,
Understand.
unless they come to you and ask for more funding.
Understand.
Which case would be a budget amendment or whatever. After your.
Are you comfortable with the 12,000 that we did this year?
I have a real difficult time believing that the electricity and water is $100.
You think it's more?
I think it's more.
Especially.
The reason I say that is, well, the rides are generator, they run those off of a generator, I believe. But there was water hoses coming out of one bathroom that fed all those vendor cars or vendor, food vendors. And also I realize this is maybe being nitpicky, but the lights in the park were on all weekend long. That's gotta be significantly more than just our normal monthly couple nights a week for softball or whatever it may be. I'm not doubting, I'm just saying, it just.
I have no other way to calculate that, so and I can't compare July to July because every month, every year in July, we have an increase, so I look at June's billing. And our billing was, like, if we used 1,500 watts or whatever it is for electricity, and then in July, we use 22, what's that difference? That's what and I'm charging the full difference to them. I don't account for if there was something else. I don't know that in July there usually is. I think they're the main thing,
Yeah,
but
they are.
And I think that there is something else that's probably really minimal, and that's how I get that number, so. I
There's
don't
really no
know.
other way to track that unless you
Meter.
had a meter, unless you read the meter when, before we started, the meter when we're done.
Is there a separate meter for the parks?
There's several meters.
Yes, there's, yes,
Electric and water.
Huh.
Electric and water.
right.
That is. $100
It just
per
seems
meter.
light to me. I could be wrong. I mean, well, you admit that. I mean, I don't know how
I
you
don't know, I just don't know a better way. to
Yeah, I
do
don't,
it,
I agree with you, Daniel. I don't know a better way to track it other than.
reading the meters.
Your average usage over other months in the summer, because in the winter time typically there's not.
Yeah, and I do
A lot
use
less.
summer rates because winter, I'm in water, and they get shut off
Sure.
in the winter, so we don't even have that to compare. I mean, even electric changes quite a bit in the winter too.
For the festival, I guess we could still use our same numbers. I'm not comfortable with it.
To Eric's point, when I was a vendor down there, I paid another $20 extra for my spot for electricity. So that money's going somewhere. They recognize that it's an increased cost. But I agree with you that $100 is probably not anywhere close to.
For the vendors paying
So
the festival.
it cost me, yes, the festival committee, yes.
So they're charging for this.
Pardon?
How many vendors do they have?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
about
different
everybody
than
else.
this year.
Yeah, me.
So they're getting $20 more. Above and beyond what they charge them just to be there.
I would expect.
I don't,
Yeah, this is one of these.
I don't know if they still do that, just to be fair, I'm not saying they may have done that in the past, I don't know their total fee structure either, so I could be wrong. But, in fact, I have no clue what it even.
I break it down for every company, and you ask those questions, though, that's valid questions. But I think, yeah, there's a lot more power gear out there now, I think, most of it's power.
I think $10,000 for the festival is sufficient. It's decreased, I recognize, but that's my opinion.
As opposed to the 12.
Yep.
Good with 10. Starting place.
They want
I'm sure they'll ask, they're on a great tight budget, but. And get it.
I would like to see them share a little more of their information as to what they actually. What their expenses actually are, what their revenues are. Not that we're looking to nitpick or dig through their budgeting in any way, shape, or form, but. If they're not staying afloat to be able to carry over some money to the following year. It seems like why do we continue to invest 10, 12 grand, whatever it might be. Into that as well, because if it wasn't. If the village wasn't able to help with that, would they be able to sustain themselves on their own? Is my 2 cents worth.
One of those hidden things that we do for the residents.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
kind of, that's kind of,
And they do bring,
yes.
I mean, the parade was very, I thought was good this year. And they did have a good midway group down there with the rides and all that stuff. They had they were pretty doggone busy on Friday night, but Saturday and Saturday evening was kind of you could line up a bowling ball and I'd be surprised if you hit 2 people.
Are the fireworks always on Friday?
Yeah.
I will say, that I feel like this year, they did have volunteers do more than they have in the past. So I do think that they were actively trying to be cognizant of village costs and time.
Yeah,
I agree. It was brought to their attention. And I'm sure when residents started to hear how much it was costing, especially when they heard the $27,000 a year, you betcha,
I would be
I
curious,
just wanted to be fair to
No,
them.
no,
make sure
sure.
and we can do this, this is not the time, but I would like to hear a report from the DPW to see what they ran into on Monday and Tuesday of the week after, a few days after a cleanup. I will say this, I went to the park on Sunday morning and all the rides were gone
And they cleaned up.
and everything was cleaned up. I didn't see any waste laying anywhere. There was a pickup truck and a fifth wheel and another big semi trailer. That was the only thing that was left from the midway that was down there. And they were hooking up the fifth wheel camper, and the fifth wheel trailer when I was there. They were gone. There was a couple of food vendors there and everything else was picked up. And I would guess by noon, the festival committee had picked up all their fencing and anything that they had brought down to set up. So the effectiveness of them cleaning up after their event was very, very, very good.
Budget wise, 10,000.
Well.
11.
Not the cheaper inflation away.
What, stretching it for what, a few days tonight?
How about we keep it the same and we ask them to share their revenues and expenditure and just tell them that we had some discussions, we're willing to keep it the same, but we feel that we would like to hear how they're operating their.
10, what you said.
If they're able to walk out of there in the black, which I would hope that they are. I would hope that they're taking that money as seed money for the following year, or putting money back into investments that will further us down the line years to come. Whether it's in the park.
Excuse me.
At some point. Or we could use that, if they were able to contribute money back to our park system, where we could build another structure or.
And I think they used to, I think that's how we got.
They did some
The
electrical
step
work down.
planter initially, they did some electrical upgrades at the park. I don't know all of the things, but I don't know the last year that they did that, but. I do know that they used to have it.
We got 3 things on the table, 10, 11,000, keep it the same, but I think all of us would like to see the numbers. In
Yeah.
regards to the outreach, 10, 11, and 12.
Yes. Definitely.
I say keep it the same.
10. Come on, 10.
That's one.
Ends for 10.
10.
I've got, I think, 3 sames right now.
I would rather go with 10.
My
Well,
majority same.
Your same is 12.
yeah, sorry, same as whatever it was.
Whatever we,
12, 9.
Yeah, so I've got, that's about what it ends up being, because the 86 plus the 33 is 12.9. Okay.
Thousand right now.
Okay.
That's including TD that you just heard of.
Oh, I don't hear that.
Bachmeyer Little League is the next area. Capital request here. I do want to notate that there is the trust fund money that I've not highlighted because it has to go towards specific things. So we've got the dugout repair and replacement. If this was budgeted in the current year, I don't think it's going to be completed. Bill and I have been talking a little bit about that. And then the press box repairs, $10,000. The mulch and the retaining wall will be completed, which is also part of that. So that money we cannot reallocate because we filed that with the courts. So our only capital requests here this upcoming year is privacy fencing. Which is I say privacy, that's probably not the best way to describe it, but the capital request that was submitted was to put like the mesh on the fence. Yes. Oh. Windscreen or, yeah. This is it.
They have a million banners out there, whatever we want.
I didn't request this capital project.
so
It's included because it was requested by a council member a few years back.
Oh, I'm looking too.
so that it's, it is windscreen basically. but it's, in disrepair, it's old. My opinion, and I don't have any facts to back up the statement, is that it has not been taken care of in years past. And I think moving forward that if you were to gather it up, you know, and zip tie it like a roll and take it down every year, it would last much longer. Get it out of the winter weather.
So it's remaining.
Yeah, that's my suspicion. That's
Weathers.
facts to back that up, but I just looked at the condition of that stuff. And that's what it looks like to me.
Is there a reason that, and I don't play baseball, so I don't know, that you have that, or, cause like my nephew plays baseball and we just went to a tournament this weekend and not a single one had that, so that's the only reason I ask. I
Rick,
just don't-
help me out. Is it just aesthetics?
It was aesthetics to begin with, but it does cut down on kind of what they call a batter's eye. If you look at Bachmeyer Park in particular, there's a white building behind the center field fence. So when the ball comes out of the pitcher's hand, it's harder to pick up. That was the reason behind the windscreen initially, or not initially, but after it was realized that that made a big difference, that's when they ended up trying to keep it from year to year to year to year. This is just cheaper, change the color as well.
Well,
Well, we're not softball.
I just kidding.
Can I make a suggestion?
Just a thought.
You could possibly get one of those made doing sponsorships, and you can get a sponsorship logo put on that and do it that way. We did that where I do the Little League app.
so you're saying this part specifically make a higher fence with a
With one of
Portuguese
those,
brewery on it.
yep, you could do that. SLI made ours for us. Yeah, you could, yeah, and you could take and get the sponsorship to do that and cover that. So that they're not very expensive. Mhm. And offset that with the sponsorship. If you have a lot of sponsors, like you said, you have banners there.
Never thought about that, so.
Change the banners to the back.
Yeah, well, it's a screen. It's actually a screen type sponsor. That it's got holes in it. We have those at our location, and that's what we did. We had a sponsor.
Screen.
Mhm.
That's provided you get the same sponsor to continue to sponsor for several years.
Mhm.
This is gonna sound a little bit mean, and I really truly do not mean it to, but I feel like it'll just make them better players if there's no blood.
Yeah, that too.
That's what they're playing for, is to improve and get better. True. And I seriously don't mean that to be rude. You know?
You mean the kids?
Well, I used to lecture and then it got better.
We never had them either, but
I was a pitcher and I liked having the white building back there.
yes.
My ERA now.
We have one.
I mean, how did this fit on the request? Were they?
No, this is the first year it's in the budget. It was requested a couple of years back. But they requested it a few years out, so it's the first time it's in the.
You know, if it's still wanted.
Honestly, we had to talk about it.
Then I think
So-
we need to,
I
Gentlemen.
guess a couple of things, Bill didn't request it,
right,
say
to somebody.
oh, I thought he said he did.
Oh, no, we didn't do
Okay.
that, no.
And I've never removed a capital item. We're gonna talk about that this year because there's a few things in the capital improvement plan that I think I just need you guys to say, this isn't a priority for us. Or we can do like a wish list, like, hey, would be nice someday when we have a ton of money, but not right now.
So since you go to the planning commission, they spend so much time on it. When they.
So they talk-
Budget.
They talked, well, that's required by
I
state
know, but it
law.
makes no sense.
And they talked about that this year, but they were like, we really want council's input on this because they're the ones setting the budget. And this is one of those items
This has.
to me that it would be nice if we had a bunch of extra money, but we don't right now. So this was a perfect example. To me, I'd move it down
Yeah.
on that, like keep it on the radar. We're not saying never, we're saying It's just not a priority.
Okay. I believe we could probably get a link screen for considerable things that out of that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, or if it's a 4 foot, it's about 15 cents a square foot. If that helps you. So if you had a 300 foot long fence in the outfield times 4 foot high, that's what, 1,200 square feet.
So when this was first requested, I got a quote and then I've just adjusted. I do 10% for inflation.
I think you could probably, I'm not telling Little League what to buy, but you can get it cheaper than $11,000 to do one if you want.
We've had requests from by the property owners at the playground over there too, just for sound and visual barrier. And that got nixed. So, I mean, it's going in priorities.
So it's 11 grand specifically for the privacy fence.
Yes.
So they couldn't use it for something else, like repurpose dugouts or something.
But you have 22,639 for dugouts?
That was a bad extent.
Okay.
Meaning we can't use it for
So-
anything but privacy fences.
If you wanted something else, then the Little League would really need to either give me a capital request. Anybody in the village can submit a capital request. And it gets included, and then you guys say if it's approved budgetary or not. Or if, like, let's say it was approved, you could come to council and be like, we really don't want this, but we want it for something else. They'd have to reallocate it.
So it can be reallocated.
Yeah, it could be, yes, but I have 0 in there right now, just. And until I hear differently.
I would think dugout repair and a few of those things are probably a lot higher on the priority list when you know.
Yeah.
Ellis Park is our next item. We've got basketball court resurfacing. We have the exterior and then inside the fence. This would be inside the fence. We have permanent cornhole boards. This is another example. This is, I think, the 4th year
Yeah.
it's been requested. You guys have said, no, I've not removed it because we don't really have a process for that. Skate park replacement, 300,000. Outfield filling and grading, 15. Phased picnic table replacement. I have this in Ellis Park because I've had it the last couple of years. We have done 2 years of this. We have a lot more. We've been doing 10,000. I've just increased it 1,000 just because of the cost. And then we've got ball field lighting replacement. As you guys know, and we reported previously, we can't get those lights anymore. And need to upgrade those to LED. We did the skate park lighting. We need to do the tennis court and
I like the base picnic table replacement, absolutely. The lighting replacement, I would like money allocated to the lighting, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 grand, 15 or something. Well, that's okay, well, one better than nothing.
I know, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
about what it would get you.
I like that, and skate park replacement, I'd like to put money, start allocating money towards that, if we're gonna, go that route. I mean, we certainly can't do that, but to allocate it. And the basketball court resurfacing, I say yes.
When one of those.
Is the surface getting bad?
Yeah,
I think with all the water stuff going on, yes.
yes, there's some cracks and settling there as well. Inside the fence.
Yeah.
The outside was done.
Yeah, the outside was done.
That's-
a year and a half ago.
And the inside had new backboards and hoops put on, but the surface was not touched.
How many wood elements do we pull out of that skate park this year?
We'll all
Well, I mean, what's all 3, 5,
score.
4?
Yes, we were going to try to save the smallest wood structure that had broken handrails and see if we could get that repaired using some of the other stuff, and we could not, so all 4 were removed.
I mean, what the cost would be for one metal fixture?
So I have proposed, here, I have proposals. So this is the challenge that I'm having with replacing one thing is we need to do the surface. I got updated proposal or cost for this because there's a company that does now that they'll do it as a whole package deal where initially we were gonna have to have somebody remove everything, do the surface and then bring in the equipment, which we could still do. But I got the updated pricing where they come in and do everything, but you can't phase it in until we get that foundation done. But to get the foundation, the ground, to get that done, everything's gotta come out.
We're there, pretty much.
Yeah, so which we could move it back in, but like some of that stuff, we're gonna have the metal pieces we'd have to deconstruct. Cause they're not gonna fit out the gate and then try to get them back in there to then like do the surface and then try to reconstruct them. I don't know how those come apart, I'll be completely honest.
So your 300,000 is an asphalt base, new metal elements, things like that.
Correct. And they are smaller elements
It should
too.
be a real skate park done properly out of concrete and designed professionally and board elements, rails and everything else. And then it's a one and done. Resurfacing the asphalt every few years, bikes and crap out of tearing up the wood like we had.
Yeah.
There's
I,
doing it right and there's piecemeal.
what's the name of that community?
Well,
You remember every time, I don't know how.
Nipsey's got a beautiful one.
I did talk to, was just out and about, I don't remember what I was doing, but I went through Lowell and they have just redone their skate park, and this has been, I think, 2 years now. But they had went in and removed everything, and they regraded and just did concrete ramps, and it looked really nice. So when I got back, I reached out to their DPW. And he said that they were able to work with some local contractors, and they kept the cost pretty minimal. He said they did contribute about $30,000, and then they did have some sponsorship and some in-kind from local contractors. But they regraded things, poured the concrete. They did not purchase a single ramp. They didn't put a fence around it. So now if they ever have to change, they'll just replace like slabs of concrete as they start to crack or wear down over time. It was considerably smaller than what we have. There was not any, I think the tallest ramp was probably the height of this countertop here. But it looked really nice. It was clean. I'm not a skater, so maybe that's not enough. That's not sufficient. I would really want input from you guys, but I do think that potentially could be a much cheaper option if we could get some buy-in from some local contractors. Even if they didn't do an in-kind, but just were able to work with us. I don't know who would do the design and kind of work on that already.
As far as the budget is there, go ahead and start putting some money towards. Yeah, so if you wanna go like 50 grand, you might go 25, I don't know.
But if you guys are open to that, like I can start having some more serious conversations.
I don't wanna be there with the budget portion of it, but I know we did have big discussion at our Parks and Rec meeting. We did.
It's a huge
Mhm.
item, but it's
Mhm.
used. Quite a bit
So-
by skaters, bikers, everybody. So.
The basketball court, I'm hearing the 10 grand on that. The cornholes, to ditch that. Skate park, we have to decide on what amount we want for that. The picnic tables, we said yes. The ball field lighting, Danielle allocate. I don't know, whatever you guys want to do for that. Probably the outfield filling and grading, maybe we can put 5,000 to that.
Everybody just say get the outfield done. You can't do a partial. If you were to divide
I'm
it,
just saying to go ahead,
Yeah.
just to allocate.
just to put money
Yeah,
towards it,
that's all I say, but if you want to go ahead and get it done, get it done.
yeah. I think something like that would be better on getting done. I'm in favor of the phasing of the picnic tables.
Okay.
Putting money towards the ball field lighting, yeah, I would do that. Maybe we do a poll, what would 15, so the poll was 10, Eric?
10 to 15, I think. By the time you get the pole, the lighting, the electrical work, that's about.
15.
Really depends on,
We have how many polls up there?
One on each side, there's a couple on the outfield.
No, I think there's
More in the outfield, and there's-
Yes, there is.
Oh, up front, that's right over there.
about 6
Yeah, that's what I would think.
20,000.
7 or 8, I would say.
Everyone else, like, One for the skate park.
I'm okay with 50.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start.
I'll put that in. If I scroll down, that leaves it 278 remaining, and we are nearing the end, so. Let's say. Claire Bachmeyer Park, we have the Steel Crest Bridge. We do have the trust fund amount of the 51,761. I was hoping to have some information for budget for you guys. I don't yet, but we do have a company that may be able to fix it for us. I did get some costs to do MDOT. I reached out about removing the guardrail and having that sidewalk open. They said they would consider it, but we have to do a study. Which is, I got an estimate for that, it's like $70,000. I think it's ridiculous.
Study.
For something that was there for 50 years, take the stupid guardrail out. The sidewalk is there.
Yes, that is what they said they
Study
and
how
they
many
would
people
consider it.
have to
That
cross
wasn't.
the fence.
That would be improved.
Like, pick their bicycles up and go across the.
Is that what the study is? How many people go across it?
Essentially.
Right across the bridge. and-
Yeah, I mean, it would look at traffic and some other things too, but, so I don't have as much information on this as I would like, but I do think. I mean, even if you did the repairs, we're not talking 100,000, I think it's gonna be a couple 100,000. And that would get us through until MDOT, who did say they're willing to put a pedestrian walkway on that when they
But then we
reconstruct.
have to pay to take it down.
Correct. Yes. So I don't know what we want to do here. The 51 has to stay because that's trust fund money. I don't know if we want to wait till I have more information and then I visit or. That's kind of what I would recommend at this point. I just don't think you have.
Decided to take it down because that's the only thing that's.
I'm for that, yeah. You know,
Yes.
But it's gonna have to come down in 32. I don't want it to sit there after 223 is rebuilt with some fence.
No.
Across this and you can't use it. Gotta come down sooner or later. Or get fixed, so budget one way or the other.
What do you want to budget?
I mean, I'd love to see the lights replaced in the park, but. There's eyesore, there's. Black eyes in the community too, and that thing sits there for years.
You have costs to remove it.
So the 968 is to remove and replace, and it was about split in half with the engineer's estimate. They said about 450 to remove and then the rest to construct. But it was about the same for,
Can we apply to 51 to remove it?
yes.
Okay, so it would probably, so we have to allocate either earmark. 400. We'd have to divide that up over 6 years. Sorry.
But 50.
Yeah, 50, 51. That's what you're saying.
Almost have to.
Yeah, we kind of stuck there.
yeah, just.
And if we can fix it, then we've got. So
And if we're, I mean, if we can find somebody to take it out cheaper, as we've got money, they'll say, hey, we'll do it for,
Yeah, but we
we'll
already
do it for 200.
figured that it can't.
Can't scrap, whatever is.
I'm with you guys. 50.
And then we do have $25,000 for the staining of the arch bridge. That bridge, we have been working really hard to maintain it so we don't end up in the same position. We had new deck boards and some of the sideboards replaced. They told us to wait to stain that again, but it is due for staining. The whole thing would be done, including those replaced deck boards and things.
Yeah.
Moving on, Barber Field, you guys have allocated $40,000 in previous years for the parking lot rebuild, and the total project is estimated at 200,000. So I've got the 40, but didn't know if we wanted to at least do 60 or if you wanted to try to do more.
When you say do the 60, what you do?
20 more.
You 20, because you've been doing 28.
Then yeah, do the 20 more. Yeah. Absolutely.
Tennis courts, we have repair the fencing for 6,000, replace the lighting 40,000, and resurfacing 75. The school did agree to contribute 10,000 to the resurfacing. And then we are still, Dave is hoping to have that agreement this week. He's hoping to have it by end of day Thursday to us. So that'll be, I don't know what to do here.
Thank you.
The proposed agreement is that we would share the costs on the tennis courts with the school. But obviously, that's not been approved by us, it's not been approved by them.
Their offer is 10,000 towards resurfacing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It seems like the pickleball court
Isn't much more to be.
is falling out, so there's not as much discussion about that in public.
I did buy 2 new pickleball nets this year. And then volunteers did set those up and, so they are still using them.
Oh, yeah.
I think partly it's calmed down because they understand what the, right, the position that we're in.
And I've been waiting to hear from her about the school as well.
There's also the residents that have put in their own pickleball courts.
Oh, okay. We have no request in urban forestry for capital. Well, that's not entirely true. We have a chainsaw and hand blower. I built it in because they're so minor.
Yes.
Library, the only thing here is they are still on our phone system.
Urban forestry, are you gonna do anything more above and beyond? Again, we've talked sidewalks, we've talked street, we talked, urban forestry, tree lines in the parks, street trees, etc. Are we gonna just keep it as such? Maintain?
Yeah, we have been doing street trees and we have a portion of that that can be used with Act 51. So we've been funding that out of that fund. And then I do apply for I've been applying for the Consumers Urban Forestry Grant. I did submit for that again this year. And we submitted for 15 right-of-way trees. We took signups this year. Some of those I could not use because the right-of-way is too small. Some of the, like, I have one request that the resident has 4 trees. I don't know where else to put a tree in the right of way. So a couple of them we did have to reject, but I do have, I think 3 already for next year too.
This, the skid sprayer for weeds, that's something that they're renting or did not like?
No, that's this year. They're purchasing that.
Oh, yeah.
I was just showing that it would be
And then,
rejected.
Danielle, this is, it's not part of the budget thing, but the mosquito spraying, so can you just put that on your notes? That was one of the things that was kind of a hot topic a little while ago. And I don't know what the results were. Don't need to go there now.
Yes, it's on my list of things to follow up with you guys and what.
Okay.
Just haven't had.
With the library, why are we paying for going to that?
So we do revenue that back. So they have the same phone system as us. So we pay for the expense and then we invoice them. We are looking at possibly this, I'm working on this as I have time and the police is set up and changing phone systems to see if we can save a little bit of money there. And if we do that, then I would talk to them about getting their own system. But we're still working through costs on that because our phones are kind of expensive. Okay, that is general fund.
Library.
So after the capital projects that you guys approved, if you want to go to a 2-month reserve, you would have another $183,000 for capital projects. If you want to stay at that 3-month reserve, you're pretty much there. You have $3,300. So totally up to you guys. I don't know if you want to revisit anything.
Yeah, the DPW relocation, we're gonna talk about that. Right. I say. The 83,000. Ran some numbers. Say about 83,000.
There's the bus. Really?
I would say not more than 100,000, I would say not less than 76,000.
Are we generally good with 83,000? You wanna add like a penny there? No. $83,001? Is that worth anything?
Now, I'm gonna go take a step back to the library, obviously, because again, you know,
Was up with the top.
it goes back to
Yeah.
funding mechanisms and becoming the district library, et cetera. So we talked about rollback, we talked about, another infrastructure improvement. 275,000.
Don't give it to me.
Okay, you know, it's part of the last thing, last year.
I
We fixed the school. Right? Boom, done. I guess time mentality on it. As a resident of Village of Blissfield, not a council member. I'm getting the same library service from all of them, whatever. But again, where are these large scale projects? What do we tell the people? What do we tell ourselves that we're getting for that off those offset tax captures that we're not doing? In regards to the library, right? We used to spend over between 250 some $1,000 a year when we funded the library through the village. So I guess for my, peace of mind, for the residents' peace of mind, we're gonna say, hey, we're budgeting to do these improvements such as things like park that would never, ever happen without that bond going through in the library being a district library. But we talk about not being able to hook up fire hydrants, we talk, that's water, but we talk about not doing a lot of things.
No, I think that's,
We talk about garbage collection, we talk about a lot of this stuff. I would like to see some sort of quote bang for my buck in voting yes for that bond. Right? As a village resident, a village taxpayer.
we're able to, well, we're new police car. We're
That
gonna,
was always done though, prior. Right? That was kind
I
of
don't-
a second sickle.
I don't think something that was always done.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it was done, but then on the cost of something else not getting done. Now you're able to afford getting it done and something else done.
Right.
So there's,
I'm not sold on the police car because that was always less.
okay.
We used to keep for the library.
See where I'm kind
Oh,
of.
I hear you. Seal coating, I mean, all these things, but I know where you're coming from. But we are doing things that we were not, we're able to allocate money towards things we were never able. You know this, we were never able to allocate money towards parks, towards the parks. Everything that we just went through, we were not able. All of these allocations, we were never able to do. That's how I look at it.
Bottom line thing is that we have an additional $27,000 this year, next year, that we didn't have in previous years.
And what you do with.
Oh, what we get.
Getting things done.
And people see things happening and they appreciate it. And they, like you said, it doesn't get cheaper to do something in the future.
And
They still happen.
So you guys just allocated $654,100 in capital projects. All of those were maintenance, taking care of things. There was a couple new things that included the new car, that included the new key fob, but a lot of that is things that to provide the same level of service that we are, or to maintain existing assets or equipment.
And it's still harder because maintaining the same services, that's the harder.
Let me ask you this. Look at your stuff there, and how much has been allocated?
That's probably the better way to go.
You see what I'm saying? So you know how we just allocated for the lighting replacement, allocated for the picnic table, allocated for the blah, 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 blah. What do you want?
Just the allocation.
Just the allocation, yes. What is that? Gotta be close to 275 grand. Thanks, Dan.
It does seem to me that we're earmarking money, carrying it, we probably here, that we've not done, that's not been done in the past, is that fair?
Right.
Okay.
Well, to a much lesser degree.
Right.
Crazy lesser degree. You gotta admit that, it's a
Yes.
crazy lesser degree.
And then again, nothing is cheap and we're trying to spread it across the board to get the
Well,
overall.
if anything, I would look at it as, this is how I do look at it. Since COVID, everything jumped up and not everything has come back down. So we were still paying or allocating 250,000 to the library, which was, but now what we've got is some breathing room. This to accomplish the things that we have to do, and it's giving us, we're staying with a 2-month reserve. We still have 100,000 that we've not yet allocated.
Look at the numbers, she's got them up there. That's just the allocation.
It's just 324,000 in allocation.
Meaning when you say the allocations, the other word is earmarked.
Yes.
And we were never able to.
That we're
do
not,
anything like
we're not spending, we're moving, saving.
Exactly.
forward,
No specific,
Yeah.
specific projects.
Which is even more than the 250,000.
Yes,
And staying within budget.
yes.
Yeah.
And we still got 100 grand.
Yes, you do have, if you go to a 2-month reserve, just over 100,000 that you could have paid towards capital.
So does that make you feel better?
A little bit, yeah. No, it does, it just because, again, I don't have to save services, I don't wanna maintain services. By that, whatever percentage was, I wanna say, this is the greater good for it, you know what I mean? And
It's the greater good.
And it is, it's just.
Also, I think you guys need to look at your goals again, because I had included in this, I could really do better at this if you wanted me to, but if you look at your goals, I have on that last page, your completed projects, look at that. You guys have done a lot of stuff on those goals, and I don't list every single detail. I only list it completed if it was a goal up top. So that doesn't include all the other projects you fund that you never set a goal for. And if we added those things, I mean, that list would be pages upon pages long. You guys have done a lot of things. So I think keep that in mind too, Mike. And if you want, I can do like a little project summary of things that we completed and have out.
Your next column.
I already have my next column done. But I could use, yes, and I could share that with you guys.
Your column app when we're done with budget, it could do that.
Well, I have a budget one.
It was like, but you know what? I think maybe your the idea, okay, the 275,000 that was once allocated for the library, you would word it very pretty. The money that was allocated to the library is now being allocated towards all these other things, and the public can see that as part of your budget description as well. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To show where that.
I think it's in there. I think it's just I think every person has a different priority. And what's the most important thing to you is not necessarily the most important thing to Laura. And we, as individuals, want to see the thing we care about the most being funded and done. And that's where we have 3,200 people that all want something a little bit different. Or we have 30 that agree, but the rest are like, yeah, we don't really care about that. So I think we are doing a very good job of trying to spread that out and make our dollar go as far as we can and do as much as we can. So I just don't lose sight of that. You guys are doing a really good job. We've done a lot of things.
Yeah, this one for big thing is to really focus on priorities and mission, whatever our visions, and then maybe we can do one of those added things that we want to see that we can really float to the public and say, you're getting some benefit from this. This was a good deal.
Was there anything else that we missed besides the 83,000 you were talking about? Is there anything else?
I got a couple other ones, but I think they're gonna be funded by different funds. So
Okay. Was there anything else, Danielle, that we missed or one we needed to revisit? Did you think?
No, I think the only thing that I think we need to talk about is the tennis courts. I'm worried about losing them. But if we want to kind of leave that 100 and then once we get some stuff done with the school, we can revisit that. I'm just concerned that we're getting to a point with that base where.
Personally, I don't want to continue investing money out there. But I don't see any village
So that-
owned property.
That's not you guys, that's for you guys to decide and the residents. I'm not opposed to that, but I think we need to really make some sort of plan that Because if we're not gonna reinvest there, then are we getting rid of them? What are we doing? And I think we just need to figure out what that is so then we can determine how to use our resources and allocate funding to that, because
I'd like to kind of hold that 100. Some sort of municipal improvement. It's gonna be some sort of project, right? It's gonna be something that the public is gonna see, people are gonna see, where they say, we're accomplishing this with this money. This is above and beyond what we would normally do in normal operation.
all right, I think you guys funded a lot of stuff. There's some things we know we're gonna have to save up for it, so. And we've been, yeah.
So when we have an emergency happen around here, where does that fund? Where is that emergency fund on general?
Depends, what is the emergency?
If it's water.
If it's a water main break, it's funded from water. If it's a village hall foundation issue, it's funded from general fund.
So the point was this, is that if we park that in general right now, we can move wherever we need to, wherever the emergency.
Not water or sewer.
Yeah.
That's something.
Okay.
Yes, but you could, so at any point, I mean, we adopt a budget, you can do a budget amendment, you can reallocate, you can make changes
If
within the
If
budget.
something crazy were to happen, we allocated that money towards those lights. We can say, oh, we're not doing those lights right now because we need that 40 grand or whatever it was. We need to put it over here.
Yeah.
So that's
I thought we were looking for a place to park it.
The 100 grand.
It does not have to have, it can just sit in our fund balance, in our
it doesn't have to
reserves.
be allocated.
Right. Only again, to not lose track. That's why I like municipal improvement. Something that way, yes, that way. We're gonna do something above and beyond the staff code, the normal operations, but it is.
So listed as that? So if that you're saying.
It's gonna be in the general fund regardless, obviously.
Give it a label.
They won't say, hey, this is on your radar.
They don't.
For the seaplane. Yep. Not your marking or anything, not holding it, to anything, but
And you know how I feel about that, Mike.
I know.
I just, my concern, and I said the same thing, or DDA, or maybe worded it different, is I don't like to do just a blanket allocation for to be determined because councils change and priorities change. I don't think it's being, I don't think we're planning and for the future, we're just saying, well, we'll use this for something, and that something could change. So I would rather leave it in general fund, knowing that, because I'm gonna be able to tell you at any point that we've got this available to spend.
I think I'm saying to sit, leave that in the general fund.
Don't allocate it, don't label it.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
you label it.
so that's fine, yeah.
That's what he's saying. He's saying to label it municipality.
You're on the same page, 13 on it.
No, I'm good with that. I thought he wanted me to create like.
No.
Miscellaneous
It's still part of the,
municipal.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, so I apologize, but you guys said it before running through this, so general fund. Tomorrow, you guys care if we kind of bump EDA, bump police up so that we can, are you having them?
I would actually really like to do water and sewer, and then we can jump to those other funds if that's okay with
You
you.
want to start with water sewer tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, and then, but bring, special police funds, that's an easy one, DDA get lower. I don't know if you want to sit through this tomorrow, but if we bring.
I can't be here Tuesday or Wednesday, but that's okay.
And then honestly, we historically have not gone through DDA in great length
Right.
because the DDA board does set that and we've taken their recommendation. So I didn't plan on spending too much time on DDA. Obviously, if you guys have questions, please, I would never ignore those. Please let me know. Special PD, those are pretty minor, and like the CPE and 302, that's state revenue, and then they spend what they have, no more than that. So unless you have questions, debt funds, unless you have questions, that is our debt that we've got to make our payments.
And now, would you guys be cool? I think we can get DDA done in a matter of 10 minutes. While you're here, you just be done.
Whatever you guys want to do.
I mean, if you look at it, it's DDA 1 and 2, and there's only the highlighted 20,000. If I'm correct with that. And I want to, yeah, I would think that was my point, we're good, so we've got DDA 1, 2, and 3 pages. What they're saying about it.
That's why, unless you guys have questions, the EPA went through this extensively. I mean, before they set their projects.
Yep.
The 20,000 is only highlighted as a reminder to me in case you guys changed it, and I remember the.
You got the rest of it, years ago. But the DDA too.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. Good, general and DDA together.
All right, so we're
But
good.
if you think we're gonna be here till after 9, shame on
You're
you.
good for tomorrow? Everybody?
Yeah, yeah. I was,
All right.
yeah, I was as well.
All right, thanks, everybody. Good job.
You're all night.
Yeah, right now.